Hello, welcome to yet another day two of the Africa's Digital Future Conference. You're welcome. Can you all hear me? Hello. Let's see your chat. Let's hear you say something in the chat. Let's know if you're all connected by ways of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube where we are streaming live. We'd like to know what's going on out there. Whilst we get things started, I'll be bringing you live updates on what is happening around the tech communities in Africa. And let's see what's going on, right? In the next 30 seconds, I'll be right back to share some of these feedbacks with you. Yeah, welcome. We are streaming live from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You're welcome to the maiden edition. This is the day two of the maiden edition, Africa's Digital Future Conference. It is. My name is Richard Joseph, and I am your privileged host on this edition. Right, let's get into it. We all know that the rise of the COVID-19 pandemic has change the way we live, the dynamics of life. And that's the reason why Digital Times Africa, who is a proud partner or the sponsor or the lead, bringing you this event, is excited to assess the readiness of entrepreneurs, tech innovators. Everyone that's operating around digital space, we're assessing the readiness about the future of digital Africa post the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to know what it's going to look like, what innovations are going to change, what are going to stay, what is going to leave, right? So some of the conversations we'll be diving into, right? On today's schedule, we were having quite an exciting panel, and a lot of people joining us today are awesome folks. I really am much privileged to host these people, right? Let's just get into what is happening around the tech spaces currently in Africa, right? We're excited that Twitter is in Africa, and Twitter partners Hack Lab Foundation to own an HQ in Africa, right? This is an exciting news at this time for Africa, especially post the pandemic. We heard Jack Dorsey mention that it was going to be coming to reside or live in Africa, but we never expected it to be Ghana. But Ghana is privileged to host the HQ, which is the headquarters for Twitter, right? And Foster Akugiri, who is a guest on today's call, will be here to talk us through what this means for the future of growth, digital spaces in Africa, right? You can connect with us. You can connect with Digital Times Africa across online via www.digitaltimes.africa, where we share relevant updates. We curate content around the tech community, the innovation spaces, and bring you live updates around everything happening in these spaces, right? You don't want to miss out. Follow us on YouTube. Do well to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, right? These are all the spaces where we bring you updates. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because we will be bringing you more relevant updates via that platform as well. We have a show called Digital Factory Show where we surface insights or we leverage on conversation to drive the dynamic or the changing dynamic of the future of Africa, digital Africa, right? It's 3:11. Let's get right into it. We're having exciting panel sessions today, and I'm so glad to see that some of my guests or colleagues who will be joining on the call are already online. They're already here. I hope it's been a great day one. I don't know how many people joined the day one, but and let us know what's going on now. This is what the dynamics for the event is, right? We've restricted the Zoom call or the Zoom session or the Zoom forum to networking, right? So the Zoom is strictly for networking, right? Every other person can join us live on Twitter, live on YouTube, and live on Facebook, where we are streaming live, right? Let us know what is going on. What are your takes from the yesterday's event? What are some of the expectations for today's event? Put those in the comment section below. And if you have questions, I mean, you can also share those in the comment section, and feel free to reach out to the moderator on the Zoom panel, or just put in the comment section, and we'll address them. I'm sure we're going to bring a couple of them live here, right? In the next 2 minutes, we'll be wrapping up and going into the panel discussions. We have one of our own favorites, CK Bros, who is the CEO of Innova, who will be delivering a keynote address, right? Right about now, let's go on a commercial break. We'll be right back. I'll see you on the flip side. Welcome, we're back. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you're looking for the account, it's Digital Times Africa. On Twitter, at Digital Times Africa. On Facebook, Digital Times Africa. The same thing on YouTube, Digital Times Africa. I'm sure there are going to be links shared with you on all this platform. Again, my name remains Richard Joseph. I'm your host and privileged one, for that matter. Let's see what's happening online. Let's see what people are saying. We'd like to really know what's going on online. I have with me Mr. Victor Malloy, who is joining us once again from San Francisco, Texas, USA. Today I didn't murder it. I think I did well pronouncing that right. What does he have to say again? Exciting to see the depth of competency on the continent of Africa, looking for pathways to build stronger partnership. We are also glad, we are excited to be contributing to making this change happen. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Malloy, for joining us. What's going on Zoom? We want to know what's happening, right? Right before we dive into conversation, the first panel session we'll be looking at will be dealing with the future of payments, post the pandemic. So we're looking at how payments are going to evolve. We have seen that Africa has attained unicorn status. An example or a case study will be Nigeria, fintech attaining unicorn status. We can tell an example of Flutter, right? And we can see partnership. The industry is booming. People are dynamically moving all the way from being unbanked to being banked, right? And these are changes happening within the African ecosystem, especially technology, right? Some of the excerpts we learned from yesterday, especially on the future of science, is that we want to see more partnership between the scientific community and the developing community, right, on the front of digitalization. So collaboration and communication is the way forward to build a potential hub or potential Africa that has formalized a digital process or achieved that digital status. We want to see these things change within the ecosystem. Great insights from the panel session yesterday, led by Belinda Dakwa on the scaling innovation post-pandemic. I'm sure the links will be shared so we can always go back and rewatch. These videos are live and available on a YouTube platform, Facebook, and Twitter. Right, engage with these videos. Let us know what you think, what you learned from the sessions, and we would like to hear from you. You can tweet at us at Digital Times Africa, share updates with us on Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn. Right, share your comments, share your reactions. If you can even share photos of whatever you. We don't know if you're joined by friends and loved ones sitting in your sitting room having fun, just enjoying the conversation. Let us know what's going on there. We'd like to know. Tweet at us with the hashtag Beyond the Pandemic, the hashtag Africa's Digital Future, hashtag Digital Times Africa, hashtag ADF 2021. Again, this event is proudly brought to you by Digital Times Africa and supported by the Ghana Tech Lab. Let's just go, before we dive into the show, let's see what's happening on social media. I see some Facebook reaction coming in, or YouTube reaction. I look forward to a great conversation today regarding how we can leverage on Twitter's presence in Ghana to drive transformative change in our startup ecosystem. Well, we are all excited about this, and we know that Mark Zuckerberg is in Nigeria with the CC Hub, and they're doing amazing things. We see Andela Africa rising. We want to know how much these changes are going to really affect the local industries and build a fourth in Africa. The rise of the African Free Continental Trade Agreement. You also want to see how policies within these areas and the strengthening of the ecosystem is going to affect these areas, right? Right about now, we'll be moving into discussing about what we have lined up for today, and we have exciting ones. I'm sure you've seen the schedule shared by social media and all the channels. We're talking about the future of finance, like I mentioned, of finance, the future of payments, and we'll also be delving into digital security, right? The future of digital security, the future of Africa's cybersecurity space. We're also going to look into growing young Africans, the digital approach, right? And that panel is particularly exciting for me because I want to know, I'm really looking forward to see how Africa digitally is going to grow, because the pandemic really brought on the use of digital tools and services in delivering education, right? What have we learned from that, and what can we leverage to move forward? It's a conversation, very exciting one, that will be led by Kafui Doris and Siniyevu, who is the moderator for that panel, and she'll be joined by Judith Hooper, Cecile Nutoko of eCampus, and Chineye Ude of Smart Kids Africa. And on the digital security panel, we have featured CK Bruce, the CEO of Innovators, who's our keynote speaker for today. And we have Eric Mensah, who's the head of technical operations at A-Crime Bureau. On the panel, talking about the future of payments, we have featured there Edward Akani, who is the managing associate at Ghana Tech Lab, and is going to be the moderator for that particular session. We have featured Philip Oduru. I think I should just keep the last name because it might be technical. He was a technology consultant at KPMG. And we have Abioye Oyetunji, who is the CEO of FX Kudi. I'm so much excited about everything happening. I'm seeing quite interesting conversations on Zoom. People are sharing. Like I mentioned, the Zoom is meant for private networking. Get to meet people, get acquainted with people. Let us know what you're thinking around the future of digital Africa. But the event is streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, right? You have comments, share your reactions there. We would like to hear what is going on around your space. What do you think can improve around digital Africa? Let us know. Right. I'll be back in the next 2 minutes, and then we are going to dive straight into the conversation. My name again remains Richard Joseph, and I'm your privileged host. Thank you very much. I'll be back. Welcome once again. My name remains Richard Joseph, and we are glad with the turnover of events. We are so happy to see that people are really responding to the call of building a digitally enabled Africa, which is the last panel session for today. I didn't mention that because I think I skipped that, but joining us on that panel will be Emmanuel Fiagbe of SFAN, Stars from All Nation, and Sayana Williams, who's the programs manager at Microsoft, and Olugbenga Ogunbowale, who is the group CEO of Power, and Foster Awentiti Akugri, president of Hakla Foundation. So excited to have this man, the man making Twitter establish their headquarters in Ghana. Right before we zoom into the dynamics of the event, let's just do a brief recap of what happened yesterday. I would like to know what was some of the best moments from yesterday. Let us know in the chats. Let us know on Zoom. We would like to know, right? I'm waiting. Who's sending the first comment first? I mean, tweet at us on Twitter. Let us know what's happening on YouTube. We'd like to know everything that's going on around your space. What is exciting about Digital Africa for you? The question. See, don't let me come on yet. Hello, we are back. We are back. I hope you all can hear me. Interesting conversation happening around social media. We're so glad to have you join us live. This is the Africa Digital Future Maiden Conference powered by Digital Times Africa and supported by Ghana Tech Lab. I have on the call with me Mr. Edward Akani and Mr. Philip Chum. We'll be heading straight into the panel session, and this one particularly will be dealing with the future of finance. This session is moderated by Edward and will be joined by Philip and Ola Oyetunji Abioye, who is not currently on the call. But we're going to begin anyways because time is way behind us. And welcome, Mr. Edward. How are you?
Thank you very much, Richard. I'm doing exceptionally well. It's great to be here.
Great to have you on the call, Philip. Can we hear from you? Hi, Philip. I hope you can hear us, Philip. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Richard. Yeah, Perfect. Can you hear me?
Sounds great. We can hear you live and clear. We are good. I'm going to just roll over to Edward and let him handle this because he knows finances than I do.
Edward, right, you can roll. It's amazing that we have to be here today because just about 2-3 weeks ago, we did something similar in the area of fintech. And I had Philip on and I had you as well. So it just shows that the conversation is very interesting and is an area that a lot of people have interest in. Philip, you can just start off by telling us something about yourself, maybe a brief, so that our audience can understand who you are, your experience, and then what you are bringing to the table.
Hi, Edward and Richard. Sorry, can you see me? You can hear me, right?
I hear you live too.
Great. Yeah, so I'm excited to be here. My name is Philip. I'm a technology consultant with KPMG. I am a chartered accountant with the ACCA, and I also do some entrepreneurship in the tech space. So I started this startup that is solving the problem with business cards, paper business cards. So what we do is we've created an app where you can create your own business card. You can customize it. You can have multiple business cards depending on the persona you want to show, and you can easily exchange that with other users of the app or people who don't have the app at all. So the app is called My Card. Yes. So in a nutshell, that's who I am.
That's interesting. And I know all of this because we talk quite regularly. So it's good to have you on the show. And today we're speaking about fintech. We're speaking about the future of payment. I've always said that when it comes to finance and then technology, I feel like they go hand in hand, especially because technology is an enabler and it affords industries to become innovative. And so for me, I feel like fintech is a crucial part of, I feel like payment is a crucial part of fintech or is a crucial part of finance, but finance and fintech is not just about payments. There's a whole lot. There's the investment bit, the advisory bit, the insurance bit, the wealth management bit, and all of that. But in recent times, there are a lot of fintech startups doing amazingly well, doing creative products. And so what would you say the fintech space is like now in terms of or how does it relate to payments? What will be your take on that? In now, what would you say fintech is looking like, in relation to payments?
Yeah, thank you very much. I like that topic about fintechs and payments. I think we are already at a place where when we think about payments, we are looking at fintech providers. It's no longer what it used to be. Initially, when we talk about payments, then it's more skewed towards a bank, okay? And then the enablers are behind the bank, the tech guys and all the technology businesses that enable payments are behind the bank, but the bank is the first place you go to. So we've gotten to a place where there are so many entrants into the payment space. We have the fintechs coming in, we have telcos, now we even have platforms. Okay, so everyone is fighting for a place in the future of payments. For instance, you would agree with me now that the social media platforms that we use are all considering payments features. Okay, so we are going to get to a time where social and payments will be mixed together. Okay, and it will be one. Yeah, and the fintechs are leading this charge. But of course, we have the big techs like the Googles and the Facebooks and the Amazons and all of that. And they are also fighting for a place in the future of payment. So, I mean, we have really exciting times coming. And we'll all be glad to be here when it happens because it all spells one thing for us as consumers, and that's convenience. And I'm a big goal for convenience any day. So yeah, that's how I see the future at this point. I'll share some other insights as we continue.
Okay, interesting. I find that very insightful too, because I mean, when you think of fintech or when you think of payments, when you think of payments, I see it as the central point to everything because, like you mentioned, even for commerce, for social media, for tourism, for transportation, I mean, for everything you think about, consumers have to pay, and then the providers also have to make money, and so the only way is having like an innovative payment platform that can allow the consumers to pay for these services and then also allow for these providers to make their revenue. So it just speaks to the fact that payment is crucial. And then, like you said, there are exciting times ahead. One of the key things that comes up is how do startups relate with the already existing banks or the financial institutions that, I mean, have their names there doing like crazy stuff out there and all of that, because now it's like the startups are stealing the customers from the banks. And so would you say that startups, or let me rather put it, would you say that fintech startups or startups that are doing payments are stealing customers from the banks, or would you say that they are rather providing something that the banks should become happy about because it still enhances banking?
You know, my response to that will be in twofold. But before I say that, there's a bit of an irony, okay? So do you realize that even fintechs need a bank account and each of them has a bank
Yeah,
account? So the fintechs themselves are customers to the banks. Well, that
exactly.
being said, it's quite true that the fintechs have entered the space of the banks. And I think every bank is aware of this, and every bank has this topical in the boardroom and what have you. So, I mean, it's no new thing. It's not news to them. But what we've seen and what we spoke about years ago and what is happening now is that we are seeing collaboration in the space. And I believe that we haven't seen the full picture of this collaboration, in that in the future it's going to be even bigger and better. Now, collaboration will not only be between fintechs and banks, but amongst banks. And I'll give you an example. So I know in Nigeria, very soon there's going to be a point where banks may be operating on a single platform. So by this, I mean, probably there'll be a single app and various banks, I mean, are all connected to that. And I mean, users can operate their accounts from one platform. And if you are familiar with the concept, then you know I'm talking about open banking. So I see that collaboration between banks and fintechs. So the first thing is we've not seen the best of it yet. And the next thing is that we are going to see this collaboration between banks as well.
Yeah, interesting. I like the way you put it. It's more of collaboration, and so I've always said that it's not really about competition. It's more of collaboration. So I believe that the fintechs are collaborating with banks, or they are supposed to collaborate with banks to create value for consumers. That's, I mean, the bottom line
Yeah,
for me. So
yeah.
in recent times,
But
you heard of Stripe acquiring Paystack, and then there are a lot of fintech startups that are doing well in Nigeria, raising seed funding, and then gaining the traction and then the popularity. Would you say that it's rewarding for startups, for fintech startups? Would you say that it's an area that is rewarding for them? Yeah.
well, yeah, very much, obviously. So some of these partnerships or acquisitions, I mean, from our side, the main thing you hear about it is the money involved and how much they've raised. Those are the things that the media will put out there. Those are the things that are interesting to people. Okay, so you hear a lot about that, but a lot is not said about the expansion that is given the startups. Okay, a lot is not said. It's not said about the global reach. Okay, so we are looking at startups that mainly operate in Africa, and now they are partnering with global players. Okay, so that was Paystack and Stripe. Recently, we heard about Flutterwave and PayPal, and the reason why
Exactly.
something
Yeah.
like that is very important is that on the customer side of things, we have a lot of consumers who pay for things abroad, and there are certain payment platforms that, I mean, they don't accept payments from some African countries. Okay, so I mean, you have PayPal and you can't pay because you don't have an account. But now through these collaborations, now an African can buy something from any shop anywhere that accepts payments only through PayPal, and this is through a collaboration between Flutterwave and
And
PayPal.
PayPal.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, those are some of the benefits. We can talk about more as we go along. So it's
Okay.
really
Interesting.
beneficial
Yeah.
beyond the money
Beneficial.
involved.
Yeah, interesting. So the reason why I asked that question is because I would want you to touch briefly on the reason why a lot of entrepreneurs, when they decide to go fintech, they choose payments other than the other aspects of fintech. Because when you speak of financial services, it's not just about payments. There's wealth management, there's insurance, there's investment. I mean, all of these options are there, but a lot of startups in Africa are going fintech or are creating businesses that are more fintech oriented. Businesses that are more payment
Payment.
oriented. Payment oriented. In recent times, there are a few ones that are doing insurance and then wealth management, but they are not so popular. When you think of a startup in Ghana that is a fintech startup, you are almost likely to think payments. So
Yeah,
why do you think that it's more payments than the other aspects of fintech or finance? Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I think you already mentioned the importance of payments. Here's the case: payments is able to scale, and by that I mean you can have a very small payment startup, which can quickly scale in the number of customers and users and reach. I mean, expanding easily into other countries and etc. Okay, so that's one thing, and somehow it seems like investors are more inclined to supporting payment fintechs. For that same reason, of course, because everyone is looking at how they can 10x their investment, 100x their investments. They are looking for the next $1 billion startup. And payment seems to offer that, okay, at a glance. But I think there's more to it. And I'm sure you agree with me. That's why you're asking that question. So we are going to get to a point where we'll see more startups being funded outside of payments. The payment space is beginning to get saturated in terms of startups. But of course, like I said, we've not even seen the beginning of payments. So the most innovative payment platforms haven't or may not have been born yet. Okay. I know for sure that when open banking becomes mainstream, we'll see new innovators, we'll see new entrants, we'll see ideas that we never thought about. I mean, think initiating a payments with a blink of your eye. Think all those things that are unthinkable now. We'll have payments providers that will be enabling all of this. So yes, to your point, granted, most investors would support a payment startup because it's easy to scale. But then the other aspects of finance, like investments, savings, lending, all of those, we'll begin to see startups grow in that area, especially in Africa, for the lack of them. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think we're having some questions coming in, so we'll address a few of them. It helps the conversations because it allows us to cover almost everything that we need to do. So there's a question from Victor Malo. The question is, how would you recommend a new bank to start in Ghana or Nigeria? Yeah, so Victor wants to know if you have to recommend, or if you have to make a recommendation, how would you recommend, or what would you recommend for a new bank to start in Ghana or Nigeria?
Okay. Yeah, so that's a good question. Maybe I'll need a bit of clarification, but if you say how it will start, it could be on running the business as a startup, as in how do you deal with regulation, etc. Or it could be with actually getting the business to go or getting it to scale. Okay, so when we are talking about getting a startup like a a new bank, okay, to run, obviously you would face the roadblock of regulation. Banking is like the most regulated industry, is the highest regulated industry. So definitely you are going to have a lot of challenges in that area. So what you would need to do from the word go is to get very good legal professionals or people who have experience with banking regulation. Okay, that should be key. I mean, you can't start a bank like we may start a payments platform or a distribution platform. Okay, regulation comes first. And I'll explain why. When you look at payments platforms, everybody can start something in payments. Regulation will come at some point. Okay, and when you look at deliveries, I can start a distribution network and nobody will ask me anything about distribution. In fact, that space may not be regulated until there's like some association or something that I need to register with. But for banking, for sure, you need to get that regulatory or like regulation bit clear. Again, banking is a very traditional aspect of our financial system, and they are used to certain things. They have a way of doing things. They have an order of doing things. So if you're going to start a bank, starting a new bank, especially which is fintech related, you would need to start out with banking professionals, people who have experience in the industry, people who are known in that industry as well, people who have a good relationship with the regulator. You know, if you are not at that level, then you need to get a board which is at that level. But come what may, cause of regulation and risk and trust, you would need to have some familiar faces and some credible people on your board. So having said that, it is a Herculean task, but it is doable. I mean, if you go to the UK, you'll find a lot of challenger banks, as they call them, Starling, Monzo. There are so many of them, and new ones keep coming. So for sure, it's doable. In Nigeria, there are a couple of them as well. Fintech challenger banks that are
banks, and then how to start a bank in Ghana and then in Nigeria. These are general things that I think you should take note of. One of the questions that was asked by our audience relates to regulation. Yeah, regulation. And in his submission, he touched briefly on regulation, and I think that in Ghana and then in Nigeria, regulation is crucial. It's actually crucial everywhere. And in recent times, I heard about the Bank of Nigeria, the central bank, coming up with a few regulations that got some banks a bit shaky. And in Ghana, in recent times, we've had collaborations between the Bank of Ghana, that's the central bank, and then some stakeholders and then relevant institutions that can actually play a crucial role in all of these things. And so I feel like regulation is very crucial. Philip, you're back. I was just briefly talking about regulation. So if you could just touch briefly on regulation in the fintech space, and then we should go. We have just about 2 minutes to end this. So briefly on regulation, and we can call it a day.
All right. Okay, good. So when it comes to regulation in the fintech space, like I said, it's largely those that would have some form of interface with the banking system who are heavily regulated. So regulation is region specific and country specific. So in Ghana, we have the new Payment Systems and Services Act. So in other jurisdictions, they also have their regulatory frameworks. On the back of this Payment Systems and Services Act, there's regulation for fintech, and they are in various classes. Depending on your class, it shows that determines the licensing requirements and the level of transactions and how far you're able to engage with customers. Beyond that, there are also certain requirements for some players. In the past, there were some like that. So, for instance, the payment providers needed to partner with a bank and have that partnership and have them cover for them in the space. But with this new regulation, the payment providers can stand on their own, pay their own license, and be on their own. There are some that could register to be an e-money issuer, and that means that they will also be able to do that, just as the telcos are doing. Yeah, there's a thing where the bank's regulation or license is above that, so the banks are able to, after regulatory reviews, they are able to play in that space as well, e-money issuance. So you find that a bank like GCB has G-Money, and that's their proprietary digital payments or currency that they created. Yeah, so in brief, that's how the regulatory landscape is. For the lack of time, I can't go into the details of each of the regulatory frameworks on this call. Yeah, thank you. Hello, Edward, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hope you can hear me as well.
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. I was just saying that we've had a very good discussion. It's unfortunate that we don't have much time, and so we can't delve into much deeper things. But the general things that one should really understand in terms of fintech, in terms of payments, and then the opportunities that are afforded has been touched on. And so I believe that we've had a good session that people can actually pick points from. Someone is asking, information security professionals, how do you think security plays a role, or what do you think is important?
Yeah.
How important is this? Yeah, in terms of information security, because when you think of payments, one of the key things is data, people's private information, like their account numbers, their information that is very private. And so, what would you say? What's your take? Yeah, maybe I should put it that way, in terms of security when it comes to payments.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. So we didn't mention that because of time, but definitely when we talk about payments, security comes first. Okay, so then you find that depending on the licensing and the permissible activities of a fintech, they may be required to have ISO 27001 certification. Okay, and they will be required to comply as well. And that ISO is around information security. So information security is key. I mean, that's like the most important thing for a user. Some may argue that it's convenience. I'm part of those people. Convenience may come first, but the moment you try to make a transaction and you are deducted, but the transaction didn't go through, then you realize that there's something more than just the experience, and that's your security. So just having that assurance that the platform works, having that assurance that your information is not going to be shared, and having that assurance that you're not going to be attacked, or you're not going to have your account compromised. Those are very important things for a user or a consumer. So yes, information security definitely very important, and regulation makes room for that as well.
All right, interesting. I've enjoyed the conversation and how we've been able to touch base on some key issues in the payment space and then in the fintech space as well. I think our audience have also enjoyed the conversation and have picked up a few insights for whatever they want to do, whether to start a fintech business or whether to pursue a career in fintech. But I think we've done something great. And so thank you all for joining in. It's been a pleasure moderating this session. And thank you, Philip, once again for making time out your busy schedule to join us. Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much. That's an insightful one. I pretty much enjoyed the last part that speaks about security, because fortunately for us, on the next panel session or the next address will be coming from a security expert in the person of Mr. C.K. Bruce. Is the CEO of Innovator, which is an information audit and security organization located right here in the heart of Ghana, Accra. And joining him will be Eric Mensah on the panel. But before we go into it, we have a keynote presentation by Mr. C.K. Bruce. But I'd like to really know what is going on the front of digital or social media. Let's see what people are saying. Quite a lot of comments, and I'd like to share a few ones. So let's see what's going on. Mr. Victor Malloy. I think Mr. Victor Malloy should be giving the Chief Operating Officer for our social media account. You're doing so well. We really like that you're commenting and sharing your insights. We like that. Let more people engage and let more people share. We want to see more of this happening, right? And then that was on points. Oh, you wanted us to speak about GDPR? Oh, that would have been great. But I'm sure Mr. C.K. Bruce will touch on that. And then thank you so much, Philip. Thank you so much, Philip. Philip shared great insights. Philip is a technology consultant at KPMG, and is a great man. We do want to keep in touch, and we do want to have more of these conversations moving forward. We'll be doing some of these on the Digital Factory Show. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to get access to these at Digital Times Africa. Like I mentioned, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let's know what is happening. We want to know your reactions. We want to know what people are thinking around these places. The Zoom is still on, and it's only available for private networking. If you want to join the call live, kindly switch over to our Facebook account, YouTube account, or Twitter account where we are live, right? Thank you very much. And I have the singular privilege and honor to introduce Mr. C.K. Bruce, who will be joining and be taking us on a journey of security, data security, digital security, the future of digital Africa. Let's welcome Mr. C.K. Bruce in the next 30 seconds as he joins us. We'll be right back. You're once again welcome, and this event is brought to you by Digital Times Africa and supported by Ghana Tech Lab. I have Mr. CK Bruce who's joined the call. Hello, Mr. CK. How are you? I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, but the audio is a little
Fantastic.
bit piercing. Could you help us with your audio a bit? I don't know. Can we all hear Mr. CK? Is it loud and clear? Is it good? If it's good, then
Yeah,
we're
can you
fine.
hear me?
I think it's okay. We can manage this. Yeah, we can work.
Fantastic. Okay.
Perfect. Great to have you on board, Mr. CK Bruce. I think I'd rather let you share your profile with the audience because it's a long one. All right. So let's have you on board.
It's actually very simple. I'm just information security professional. I also, well, basically, I do information security consulting, governance, and audit, okay, and risk, okay. But I like to see myself more as a mentor, as somebody who is trying to develop skills in our next generation up and coming professionals. And I mean, that's what I would like to be seen and known as.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, you've been a mentor on so many levels, especially to myself, because I actually studied under this amazing professional here, Mr. CK Bruce. Thank you so much for your encouragement, for your insight. I mean, I've learned a lot under your leadership. I look forward to learning more. I'm gonna still be in touch. You know how we do it, right? Let's head directly to your keynote presentation. Let's have you talk about digital security and the future of Africa before we switch over to the panel session where Eric Mensah, Kweku Mensah will be joining you.
Brilliant. Okay. I have some slides. I don't know whether it's going to be shown or I should just carry on.
You can carry on. The slides will be shown by all means. We'll be preparing that up.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk about, Africa's cybersecurity, the future of Africa's cybersecurity. But we need to put it into context in terms of where we are now. We are just coming out of a very interesting, can be traumatic, very life, everything changing times, okay? Which was COVID. And COVID, to me, has enabled the world to reboot, okay? It's as if we've shut everything off and we are trying to restart everything, okay? Because everything was locked down, okay? Now, the COVID times brought about a response to, necessity, okay? Everything had to be shut down, meaning that the only medium that was capable of doing things was the internet, okay? So we had to move everything into the internet, and it became quite an opportunity. And I'm glad to say it became a massive opportunity for Africa, okay? Africa, we have our unique experiences. We have difficult terrain due to those uniqueness, difficult, lack of infrastructure. We develop very, very interesting solutions, okay, very innovative solutions, okay. I'm also glad to say that during COVID, the governments realizing that this was happening, there was a lot of enabling regulation, enabling policies, enabling environments that was created in Ghana, where I am. There was a lot to support the fintechs, and we can now see a serious, upsurge in the number of fintechs providing all different types of solutions. Okay, so all in all, COVID came. COVID was not that devastating to Africa. COVID has really presented an opportunity for us to continue leapfrogging. I mean, Africa, we've been leapfrogging for years, okay? And it's interesting that a research company, McKinsey & Company, noted something, and there's this quote which I'd like to read out, and it says, COVID-19 crisis contains the seeds of a large-scale reimagination of Africa's economic structure, service delivery systems, and social contracts. Okay, and I think that spells it all out. And that is my view and impression of the rebooting of Africa, the rebooting of Africa's innovation, the rebooting of Africa's skills, Africa's digital journey, and it has been and is going to be really amazing. Okay, a lot of people also began to use technology in a more serious way during COVID. Okay, so there was a complete upsurge in the number of people using the internet and things like that. Okay, now the fact of the matter is that the more people we have using the internet, obviously the more cybercrime will grow. Okay, because of COVID, the use of mobile money, for instance, skyrocketed. Also, alongside of it, the fraud, the scams skyrocketed. Okay, now there's the notion that cybercrime groups are not really an African thing. Okay, but no, that's not true at all. I mean, just to give some instances of African homegrown cyber groups, I think some of us might know the tension between Ethiopia and Egypt, Sudan, along the Nile. Ethiopia has built a dam which Egypt is not too happy about. Okay, now there's a cyber group based in Egypt called Cyber Horus, and they have been attacking. This was in June 2020. They launched an attack on Ethiopia. Okay, and clearly the intention, the objective of the attack was to cause economic, psychological, and political pressure on Ethiopia. Okay, those are the beginnings of cyber warfare. So this is purely African grown. Okay, between two African countries. Okay, we also know Nigeria a lot, unfortunately, about these little scams. But there's a group in Nigeria called the Silver Terrier, okay? And it's a group with containing about several hundred individuals, and they are all over the major cities in Nigeria, okay? Now, this Silver Terrier, they have been known to have created thousands, more than 50,000 pieces of malware. They have conducted more than 2 million attacks. They have caused billions of dollars of damage to individuals and to organizations, both inside and outside Africa. Again, another homegrown cyber crime group emanating from Africa. Okay, I mean, generally, it is believed that the African business community as of 2017, we've lost an estimated 3.5 billion to cybercrime and cyber fraud and cyber theft. Okay, so cybercrime, cyber fraud is seriously, I mean, we know it, but these are stories, these are These are experiences coming from within. Okay, most of the times we think that it's coming from Asia and coming from Russia, Ukraine. No, but we have experienced, highly skilled fraudsters who are based and targeting us in Africa. Okay. Now, looking at regulation, looking at the efforts by countries to ensure that, we are trying to fight against these cybercrime groups and cybercrime attempts, we will realize that it's slow. Okay, only 6 countries in Africa have computer incident response teams. Okay, CERTs that's from sectorial or national CERTs that can respond to cyber attacks. Okay, and only 6 countries out of 54 is not good going. Okay, I mean, these CERTs, these national CERTs, really do a lot. I've had personal experiences with the CERTs we have in Ghana and how they responded to some attacks, and they are important to have to ensure that the nation state has capability to be able to respond, to be able to thwart, to be able to recover from all different denial of service attacks and other cyber attacks. Okay, but generally the regulatory environment is not good. Okay, only 6 countries have signed the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime. Okay, only 8 countries have signed on to the African Union Malibu Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data. Okay, these are 2 very critical treaties that help the nation, the countries that have signed to these treaties to share information, to share vulnerability information, threat information, to have standards that can ensure the adequate level of security, and to benefit from technical assistance and cooperation from generally the international community. So, I mean, these are critical, these are very important treaties, and the commitment to these treaties, or the lack of commitment to these treaties by the vast majority of African countries, is not a good sign, is not a good sign at all. Okay, and further assessments of the environment from the African Union. So there's a report, for instance, from November 2016 that says that 30 African countries lack the legal framework to be able to fight cybercrime. Okay, so this is not a very good situation for us to see, because the regulation, the legislative environment is important, is critical, in fact, to be able to address the cybercrime problem. However, there is light under the tunnel. Okay, there is an African Union cybersecurity expert group which has been formed. They actually had their first meeting in December 2019, but I can say that subsequently, I am sure that because of the COVID, things have slowed down. But at least it's a massive step forward to have this cybersecurity expert group, in existence. And the membership of the group was from all the various regions in Africa come together. At least there's this beginnings, this starts of a African continent-wide, approach in trying to deal with this problem. Okay, and countries some countries are trying to do a lot, okay? It's very interesting that in the year 2018, quite a lot happened. Kenya signed into law a Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, okay? Same in 2018, the Central Bank of Kenya asked payment service providers to submit their cybersecurity policies to government. These were all clearly very interesting, very a good attempt to regulate. Okay. Again, in 2018, in November, Kenya also came out with its data protection bill. Okay. Also in 2018, the Bank of Ghana issued a cybersecurity directive, and that cybersecurity directive, one of the things that it advocated or it directed was that all organizations, institutions regulated by the Bank of Ghana, i.e. the banking sector of Ghana, how to implement ISO 27001, how to implement PCI. These are key information security standards, global recognized standards, okay? And this was a huge step, in my view. That's really, started the fight back, okay? Also, in June 2018, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced guidelines for a cybersecurity framework as well. So a lot happened in 2018. Okay, in Kenya, in Ghana, in Nigeria, these are with South Africa. These are key countries that are trying to be on the forefront of putting in the right regulation and the right legislation to create the environment to be able to push information security solutions. Okay, and in fact, at the end of 2020, a new cybersecurity law was signed into an act in Ghana. Okay, so there's further development of the legislative environment, and that law is going to do a lot to bring, some direction and some focus into various initiatives that we will expect the various industries to be undertaken. Okay. Now, the most critical aspect, the most important aspect of cybersecurity or of protecting organizations against cybercrime is the skill set. Okay. Cybersecurity is all about skills. Okay. Yes, there are some technologies that we can, solutions that we can implement, but at the end of the day, you need the people to be able to, implement the standards, implement the solutions, monitor, ensure that the analysis of the information that the various SIMs, the various SOCs are giving is all human-based. Okay, and it is clearly the concern. There was a checkpoint survey, and it's found that 77% of the respondents were concerned about the capabilities of their various security teams. Okay, 67% were worried about the level of the cybersecurity knowledge. Okay, so clearly, there is concern around that area. Okay. Again, some of the positive initiatives was that in October 2020, the African Advanced Level Telecom Institute held a chat, held a small workshop to discuss the cybersecurity skill gap in Africa. Okay, and that is an enormous, step forward. the skill gap is not really isolated, unique to Africa. It is a global problem. Okay, it is a global problem. There are clearly gaps all around globally. Other countries don't also have enough cybersecurity skills to be able to man and to fulfill some of the requirements that they have. So we can imagine that in Africa, it will be worse, okay? If it's a global issue, it will be worse, okay? So one of the key areas that we need to look at to be able to really address the future of cybersecurity in Africa is to ensure that we have various initiatives. Is to ensure that academia, is developing the right courses, the right programs that would equip our young people to have the right skills. We need to look at the various information security certifications to ensure that those specific skills are being developed. Okay, we need to ensure that African countries are coming up with the right regulation, the right enabling environment that would encourage, companies all over to be able to mentor, to be able to afford opportunities to young people to try and develop these skills, to actually develop their interests. Okay, it is important that our young people see information security, cybersecurity as a career path. Okay, the various areas in cybersecurity, risk, audit, the legal side. Okay, the hard, the soft. They need to see it as a clear career path that they want to pursue. We need to ensure that all the building blocks are available. The academic institutions, the private training centers have the right training facilities to be able to move them to the next level. And I would like to conclude on that point, okay, that we need to develop the skills, period. Okay, we need to ensure that more and more young people move into information security as a career path. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. C.K. Bruce. We are joined live. With Mr. Eric Kwekumens. I hope I got the name right. I didn't murder it, right? Can you hear me, Mr. Eric? I think you're muted.
Yes, I can hear.
Perfect.
Yes, I can
hear
you.
Welcome you. Those are insightful contributions and data being shared by Mr. C.K. Bruce, right? And thank you so much, Mr. C.K. Bruce, for that keynote address. I was so overwhelmed when I saw those data coming out, right? I didn't know that things of that nature happening around cybersecurity space in Africa, right? But these are all issues that need addressing. And Mr. Eric, I know you work with Crime Bureau, and we have seen the rise of mobile money frauds and all of those, and seeing that MTN, Shell in Ghana, is trying to incorporate some security measures that uses ID card and all of this. My question is, having witnessed this data or this presentation and what Mr. Gibbons has shared, and what are some of the go-to steps that businesses can use to protect themselves against such cyber attacks? Because we are at the rise of digitalization, and every service is becoming digital. So people, even the redundant, let me not use the word redundant, like new businesses who are now utilizing digital spaces, right? They need to know what to do to protect themselves against some of these issues. So what are your recommendations? What can you share with us?
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. And I'm so excited to be part of this panel, especially with Mr. C.K. Bruce. And I want to say that it's very important that we take cybersecurity serious. Like you saw in his presentation, we are very open as a continent. And when you drill down to businesses, oftentimes we look at the convenience, like the previous panel did mention. We don't take security serious when it comes to development of, web application, mobile applications, and the infrastructure. And it is really key. That is the basic thing to do first. That when you are building an IT infrastructure, you put into consideration the security of that infrastructure. So that is the key baseline. Then after that, you look at some of these international compliance protocols like ISO 27001. There are other ones for the payment industry like the PCI DSS protocols and the rest. So these are very key things that institutions would have to take note of. You saw in the statistics presented by Mr. C.K. Bruce about some of the hacks and some of the state-sponsored activities. This is real, and it does happen in this country and on the continent. Sometimes when you say these things, people think that, it is in the outside world, in the Europe, in the US, and the rest. No, these things do happen in this country and even in other African countries. So it is really, really important that businesses take cybersecurity so serious that when they are building the architecture of their IT assets, they put in protocols and some measures to be able to prevent or mitigate any attack that might target them.
Thank you so much for your contribution, Mr. Eric Mensah. I hope we all can hear me. There are quite a lot of insightful stuff happening in the comment section. Not to break the conversation, let's just go right into it. I'm going to touch on the comment section later. Mr. CK, you talked about bridging the skill gap, right? Making people find interest in digital security as a career, right? I mean, the word digital security alone is complicated. You have to think about all the building blocks around security, the coding, all of those. What are the easy things to do to be able to make people delve with this? And how can we build an ecosystem within Africa that upscale skills within cybersecurity and bridge that gap?
It's not difficult. Seriously, it's not difficult. It's just a matter of perspective. Okay. Now, we have very talented young people who are system administrators, who are developers, who are demonstrating so many skills in the other aspects of information technology. It is just that we need to have them think about security. Okay, so we have a lot of people who are attracted to the development side of IT, and they are demonstrating such talent. Okay, lots of them, because there are so many opportunities there. Okay, that's why they are being drawn to development and to system administration. So similarly, we need to just give them that perspective. The skills, they will learn, they will develop it. But it is just that we need more people to have that focus, okay? In terms of developing the skills, we have various areas of information security. We have the hard, network security, the vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. We have the risks, we have the GRC, the management. So these are all various areas which, are skills that we just have to learn, that we can learn. Sorry, okay, it's not learnable. It is not rocket science. Okay, so from my thinking, from my perspective, it is just a matter of opening up the opportunities. So in Ghana, for instance, it is becoming possible to get a well-paid job in information security. Okay, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that was not the case. Okay, but now, because of regulation, a lot of the whole banking industry is looking for these skills. Okay, and that is good. So that, I mean, that should, I mean, we need to see more industry regulation in the insurance industry, you know, manufacturing, the health. All these industries must have the regulation to ensure that the demand for these skills grows, thereby creating the, you know, the want for people to follow that career path.
Richard, I just want to add something to CK Bruce's submission.
Feel free, come on, go ahead.
Great. So just to add up, it's very important that we, as a continent, take cognizance of the educational reforms. Right now, everything is going digital. We have to look at, you know, incorporating cybersecurity or information security into our educational curricula, even right from the basic level, so that by the time the child grows, the child has been able to develop that desire to move into cybersecurity or information security. So it is really key. I just thought of adding this so that governments and, you know, those who are in charge are able to, you know, brainstorm around this. I know around 2017 there was a conversation like that in Ghana here there would be some other discussions in relation to incorporating some of this security or cybersecurity related courses from the basic level.
Thank you so much, Eric, for adding that up. That's you just drew my attention to something, and it's something I'm going to touch on right about now. We have got a couple of comments, and fortunately for us, we'll be talking about education on the next panel, right? And we'll be looking at talking about education, talking about bringing or adapting to the educational reforms as a country, like, or as Pan-Africans. But then again, we don't see the use of digital tools and services in school, right? That has been the major issue with onboarding education institutions or young adults onto using digital tools and services, right? Because you see the case where you're done with senior secondary school and then you're in the university. That's the first time you're now knowing how to operate a laptop or use a laptop. I mean, these are all the issues we are having. And until we allow the use of digital or PDAs in schools and stuff, we might not see these people being onboarded to maybe wanting to join that bandwagon of upscaling themselves in digital security, because it's not a fast until they are out of school and it becomes challenging because they are uneducated about it. So, Mr. CK, talking about education, what do you want to see change around educational systems, especially with digital security?
You're very right. You're very, very right. Okay. As I said, COVID came with the upsurge in the use of the Internet of Information Technology. I stand to be corrected, but I have the feeling, you know, I mean, I wouldn't want to be categorical, but the service providers, you know, the telecom companies, I don't feel that they've upgraded their networks to provide better quality service, you know, internet across board for everybody to use. Okay, I mean, I'm very sorry to say that, but I feel that it's the same network that they had pre-COVID that they're trying to maximize. Okay, so we need, those are some of the regulatory legislative areas to ensure that the right quality of service exists. Okay, the use of internet has skyrocketed. It means that we need more bandwidth. It means that we need more faster connectivity. It also means that the cost of internet should drop because there are more people using it. Okay, economies of scale. Okay, these should now be reflecting so that it will be easier for primary schools, for government schools to be able to use the internet. Okay, I must say that I witnessed some very innovative teachers on an individual level during COVID. Okay, so clearly, I mean, these are some of the times that I'm very proud to be an African, because we have such tough terrains, okay, lack of infrastructure, but it doesn't stop some very good people to do what they have to do. Some teachers went on using phones, using WhatsApp groups, using so many easily available avenues to continue teaching. Okay, and I really wish some of them could be identified and awarded. Okay, but suffice to say that our infrastructure should be improved. Okay, so that, as Eric said, that the riding on the virtual opportunities to train, opportunity to learn must be harnessed and must be.
Thank you, Mr. CK Bros. That's a good contribution. We really appreciate your input. Before we go on, let's just see what's happening in the comment section and let's see what people are saying. Mr. Victor Malloy says, welcome, Mr. CK Bros. And he continues to say, CK Bros, the cyber ambassador of Ghana. Wow, we didn't know. Oh, all the way from Texas. That's great. And it continues, I'm here to enable and support from San Antonio, Texas, USA. Please let me know how I may better serve you. Oh, Mr. Victor, we would love to really grow with you. That I'm sure the organizing team will be in touch and we can figure out something around these areas. Fantastic comment from the ambassador of Ghana, aka Mr. CK Bros. Hey, Mr. CK Bros, he's taking all the fans, bro. All right. It says something which is very exciting and focus on youth development that will spark and that focus for youth development, the spark that will ignite the change on the continent, right? Yeah. The future of digital Africa is here and the youths are on the forefront, right? We have to prioritize this youthful population and have them engage in services, tools, educative stuff, materials or resources that is actually going to change the narrative on digital Africa, right? Let's have your reaction, Mr. Eric Mensah. And I'm so very glad because the next panel discussion is going to delve into education. I think it's well arranged and we're going to look at this. Mr. Eric.
Yeah, so yes, so good. So in terms of the focus on the youth, in terms of digital security on the continent, I must say that a lot of statistics have come out in terms of the growth of the jobs that will be available when it comes to when we talk about cybersecurity, and the youth would have to take that opportunity, seize the opportunity. In fact, most regulatory institutions are now putting in demands like we have in Ghana here, where organizations will have to have CISOs. There are cybersecurity roles that have been, demanded by the regulatory institutions for the banks and other companies. It is really, really important. And in fact, when you look at some of the regulations, it makes provision for jobs and positions for cybersecurity roles. And it's very important that we, the youth of this continent, leverage on that, develop applications and tools to be able to solve cybersecurity and other digital crimes related issues. Right now, there's an emergence of the AI, machine learning, and the rest. We would have to leverage on such protocols to be able to, provide solutions for the continent. It's quite sad that sometimes some of the things that we use, even as countries within within Africa, we use tools from the outside world to protect ourselves. Then, we are actually open. So we would have to get to a level where we develop homegrown tools for ourselves as Africans so that we can be able to, fight and then mitigate attacks that are tailored to us as Africans.
Thank you very much. You mentioned something which is very interesting. development of homegrown tools to fight or deal with issues and challenges around Africa. Which organization? I mean, I don't think these are things. We saw China, right, come to us or Africa to help us redevelop Gary implementation or how to finish Gary. Right. So what are we doing as Africans? I mean, dynamic spaces, the hubs, the networks, Innovar. I mean, Ikram Biru. I mean, you mentioned a lot. What are we doing to make sure that we are building these homegrown tools ourselves, so we don't leverage on partnership or sponsorship from international organizations? Because then again, we depend so much on funding in Africa, and that's a challenge, right? So how can we limit? Because Mr. CK mentioned that telecom industries or telecom organizations, the cost of internet is high and all of those, right? We all depend around the services. If the people providing us with these services within the country are skyrocketing their prices, right? So how do we then leverage on what we have to develop something? We look outside to the to donors, right? So what are your advice, or what can you say? What are we doing within the space, cybersecurity space, to help us, right, develop crafts, policies, whatever, I mean, tools that fit the African ecosystem developed by Africans for Africa?
Okay. You see,
No, Eric,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Mr.
good.
CK, you go ahead, please.
Okay. No, I mean, policies, regulation, industry can only come from government. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that we can do is, as civil society, is to advocate, is to pressure, is to lobby that these things should be done. Okay. In Ghana, I'm happy to see that there's a clear direction set. Okay, it started with the Cybersecurity Act. That the Cybersecurity Act, mandated the formation of the Cybersecurity Authority. Okay, so there are things happening. Okay, it might be slow, but there's clearly the right steps are being taken towards the overall objective of creating these enabling environments. But on saying that, I think that we need to have more private sector initiatives. Okay, like, I mean, for instance, Innovari, for instance, I mentioned that I like to be known as mentoring, and that's something that we are doing. Okay, so our team is quite young, very young, and the whole plan is to ensure that they get the experience from the projects that we have. They are being, trained. They are, and to be honest, the team that we have, they're doing amazing things for young people who are just 2 years from graduation. Okay, there's, as long as they have the right guidance, the right mentorship, the right support, instilling the right level of confidence for them to be able to, and then the projects which they can work on to be able to gain that experience. See, so we need more of those organizations to be able to drive that direction. I must say, where we have Innovari, where we have our office, we are located at the Accra Digital Center, okay? And that is a hub that is also, promulgating that direction. So the whole idea of Accra Digital Center is to enable the development of these skills. So we have a very good enabling environment here that enables us to be able to bring in young people and develop them these opportunities. We need to have more of these hubs. Okay, we need to have more of these hubs all over the country, which then will enable the right companies, the right private sector companies to be able to support these young people to, to grow.
Thank you, Mr. Eric. Before you make a contribution there, I don't know if you can hear me loud and clear. We have a couple of comments on Facebook and YouTube. We would like to see. Someone is asking, right, from Facebook, Betty Bua, whilst we wait to inculcate these ideas in the curriculum, what can we do immediately? And Mr. Victor Malloy is also saying, are you providing internship for college university students with government, industry, and academia? I'd like you guys to address this as we wrap up on this session. Thank you very much. So who would like to go first, Mr. CK, or you like to let Mr. Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
First?
Yeah, Eric should go first.
All right, Eric.
Thank you. So whilst we wait for this to be incorporated into our educational curricula, we as private institutions and even some NGOs like other organizations like the Ghana Tech Lab and then Accra Digital Center and co, you have to put in programs that will bring these young ones together. That will bring these young ones together to be able to, express their skills. In fact, there are some programs that are being organized. I remember there was an event in Rwanda where young lads within the primary level were brought together to do coding. You teach them how to do coding and the rest. So those are some of the things that should be put in place now, whilst we await, a broader legislation or regulation in relation to academic reforms and the rest. And then also private institutions like the E-Crime Bureau, okay, or VARI and other cybersecurity institutions should give opportunities to those who have done cybersecurity and other related courses to come and do internships, because that is where they will get the hands-ons. Because one thing we know is that our schools oftentimes do theoretical stuff, but it is very important that the hands-on stuff is felt by this young people that are coming up into the cybersecurity space. So it's important that we, the private ones, give opportunities to the these graduates to come and do the hands-on internships with them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Eric. Any comment from you? Any final words from you, Mr. CK, for wrap up? There's something Victor Malo is also saying. Are you providing instruction to teachers in the area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The answer to both questions: do we provide internship? Yes. And yes. The teachers? Yes. The answer is yes. We are only constrained by space. Okay. Space as in having more sitting space for people to come and sit and go through internship. That is our only constraint. Okay. Otherwise, interning, mentoring young people, is my passion at the moment. And because I know that there's a lot that we need to do there. So it's something that I really am driving as much as possible within the capabilities that I have.
Thank you so much. That's all time will allow on this panel session. I'm so privileged to have hosted Mr. CK Bruce and Mr. Eric Mensah. CK is of Innovative Ghana and Eric Mensah is of E-Crime Bureau. I think Innovative Ghana is located at Accra Digital Center, which is an entrepreneurship, innovation, technology hub here in the heart of Ghana, Accra. And could you kindly share your location with us, Mr. Eric? Do you also provide internships? Do you provide?
Yes, we do. We do provide internships and even national service and the rest. We are located at Adenta, around Medina. If those in Ghana, in Accra, we are located around Adenta. You can get us. You can visit our website.
Great.
And then you see more contacts from us.
Very well. One quick one, right? We are in the front of digitalization, right? Are these services provided online or it has to do in person? Because I remember Mr. CK mentioned the only challenge is the space, right? Are we exponentially looking at inculcating these using digital services so we can build that network? Because space is constrained because we have people joining the call all the way from Texas. We have those in Nigeria, those in other part of Africa, right? how are we leveraging on digital tools and services to expand our narratives?
Well, at the moment, I mean, Innovari is also a training institution. So, I mean, we offer training in numerous cybersecurity certifications, a lot of certifications. Currently, we've moved all our training to virtual. Okay, that really offers us more opportunities because it is easier for us to include some people pro bono. Okay, whilst we were having physical classes, as you were saying, we are constrained by space. We are no longer constrained by those, from the training that's so for each training session that we do, we have a quota that we offer free to certain people that we want to give opportunities to. But that is only the training perspective. You see, the hands-on, the actual working on projects, for the person to really benefit from the mentorship, it is a little bit more complicated from that perspective. So it is something that we're looking at to see how best we can still achieve our objectives through some of these new channels that exist.
All right, thank you, Mr. C.K. Bruce. Eric, thank you so much for availing yourself to be with us, even with your tight constraints with time, right? We really appreciate and we are deeply honored to have hosted you. Thank you. This all will allow us in
Thank you so much.
session.
Thank you so much.
Blessings, sir. I'm so grateful. By the way, I'll be coming forward for some mentorship lessons, Thank you very much for being on.
Sure.
Let's move straight into the next session, which will be addressing the point on growing young Africans, the digital approach. I am joined by Cecile Notoko, Judith, and Chineye of Smart Kid Africa. Right about now, we will take a commercial break. May I remind you that we are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Feel free to share those reactions, share those comments. Tweet at us, hashtag ADF2021 or ADF21. Beyond the pandemic, Digital Times Africa. We want to know the reaction, we want to know what's happening around the spaces. Let us know. We'll be back. See you soon. And we are back. We are back. It's been an exciting times. The future of digital Africa is positive. And joining us right on this panel session is Kafui Doris Ansin Yevu, who's going to be the panel moderator. Hi, Kafui. How are you? And following up is Chineye Ude of Smart Kid Africa, I'm also a contributor or guest speaker on this panel. We also have the presence of Mr. Cecile Nutoko, who is the CEO of eCampus LLC Limited Liabilities Company, by the way. Please, we would like for all our guests to turn on their videos whilst they join the call. Hello, Cecile. Good to see you, Cecile. I love the hairstyle, by the way. And finally on this panel is Judith. I feel like sometimes I find difficult pronouncing that last name. Who is it? Hoopa? You help me out, Judith. Welcome on board.
It's Hoopa.
Good to have you. Yeah. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Kafui to lead this panel session. Kafui is the product lead at Crado. I'm sure she will share more about what Crado does, and all our guest speakers are going to talk about what they do. Thank you very much, Kafui, for being on with us. I'm handing over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me?
I think there's a bit of some issues with the sound. I don't know who it's coming from, but I'd like us to check that so that our audience can enjoy smooth transition and enjoy your conversation. Right. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just want a confirmation if you can hear me. So,
Yeah, I can hear you, but you sound a bit far away. Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
I can
Okay.
also.
Am I still sounding very far away?
Now you sound closer.
Okay, because I have to be chasing electricity because my power went out all day. So I'm like somewhere at a cafe looking for the best spot so we can have this conversation. But well, let's just get on with it. I am Kafui Doris Anthony, the founder of Crado and the product lead. It's exciting to have you all here. Today's conversation is going to be about growing young Africans using a digital approach. And as Richard already said, we have Cecil, who is the CEO of eCampus Limited, and then we have Chinlei Ede who is the CEO of Market Africa, and Judith Hopper, the community lead for YAW. So we all know COVID came, hit us really bad, but then we managed to survive, thankfully, and we are still thriving, trying to find the best way around it. But when it comes to education, it has introduced lots of gaps. We're going to talk about that, address the issues that we face in our various work environments, how we tackled it, what we can do to prevent or reduce the impact in the future. So without much talking, I want to give the opportunity to our guests to introduce themselves. So I start with Cecil. Cecil, please tell me about yourself and what you do and how education has played a role in your work.
All right, so I'm Cecil. I work for eCampus. eCampus is trying to achieve three key things. We've made them into hashtags to make it easy to communicate. So one, hashtag learn smarter, hashtag employability, and then hashtag prosperity. The idea here is how can we leverage technology to help people learn smarter, identify their strengths and weaknesses quickly and improve, and then of course pass their exams and move to the next stage. In that process, how do we use the same technology and the points and their performance to create some form of employability score, which employers can use to give them internships, attachments, and even full-time jobs. We're of the view that if we can mirror these two and close the loop, then there is some level of guaranteed prosperity for those who use our technology throughout their educational cycle. So in a nutshell, we're just trying to see how we can take that young African, help them learn smarter, help them get employed, and then give them some, at least 90% chance of having a prosperous life. So that's what we do at eCampus. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice introduction. We'll move on to Judith. Judith, please, can you talk about your work at YAW and your with the tech community, with women, with the finance sector, and all the programs you've done?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Judith Riabokupa Simmons. Professionally, I work at Bank of America as operations analyst, and then I also volunteer for YAW, Yielding Accomplished African Women, as community head. What do YAW do? We tell ourselves as college will always would train you, but then we will walk you through the career field or whatever thing you want to do. And so for YAW, over the 3 years that we have been in existence, we've been able to train 2,000 plus women from all over Africa in the space of technology, in the space of finance, in the space of business, as encompassing entrepreneurship and then holistic development of our ladies. So ladies who have passed through YAW, we have testimonies of them securing jobs, some people already doing their entrepreneurship work, and then the likes. So what we basically do, we do this through our accelerator programs like Our Girls, Our Future. So it's an annual program where we train the ladies on the tracks, the finance, the tech, and then the career development sessions, empowerment sessions. We believe that the ladies need to be trained, the ladies need to be empowered to come out of their shells and then fulfill or come out of their shells and then realize their full potential. So that is what ERW we seek to achieve. I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. I have actually been to one of your sessions of the hackathon at Labadi Beach. So that was amazing. We had a whole diverse group of people all over Africa. So yeah, I'm one of your biggest fans. And we'll move right to Neye Ede. You are the CEO of Smart Kids Africa. Please tell us a bit more about your company and yourself. What inspired you to start your Joseph, are you there? Are you saying something? I think we lost one of our guests. Hello. Okay, as we don't have Chineye here, we'll just move on to the next question. And the next question goes to Cecil. Cecil, your question is, what are your thoughts on Ghana's COVID responses with regards to education? And second question is, did you record some wins? The third question also is, what were some challenges you encountered working with young people? In no particular order, you can please attempt the question.
Okay, so if I get it correctly, the first one was Ghana's response as a nation to the pandemic with regards to education. Yeah. I didn't quite get the second question. The last one was, how do we work with young people? So if you can prompt me again on the second question so I can put in perspective.
Okay, so the second question is, did you record some wins as an entrepreneur?
Okay. Okay, I get it. Okay, all right. So I'll say Ghana did respond quite well, to COVID. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not that bad. They did quite well in the sense of being able to reduce the casualty. Because maybe if they had kept them in school longer, maybe things would have been worse. But the fact that they immediately responded, closed down the schools to save lives, I think I recommend the government for that, because it could have been worse. Now, where we didn't do quite well, and that is not because of COVID, is that we do not have the infrastructure to move our education completely online. We just don't have it. You know what I mean? And they can't do that overnight. These are our 10 years investment, 20 years investment that we failed to do. So when the crisis hit, we were trying to be reactive, right, instead of proactive. So we were just juggling anything we can come across. So, and that is also amazing, how people could actually organize teaching and learning using WhatsApp. Who would have thought that was possible? All right, and Zoom here and there, Google Meets, Teams. So anything people could come across, they were just trying to find ways to make it work. But because it wasn't structurally arranged, it was chaotic, and definitely we wouldn't get the best results that we would have gotten from a well-structured and planned e-learning environment. But that said, I think there is the appetite to do it right. All right. There is that appetite from governments, from teachers, from school owners, from students, from parents, to try and make this online thing work for everybody. And I think that's a good thing. Because from my experience, from as far back as 2003, when we started pioneering and advocating for online learning, the appetite level at that time was not as good as it is today. You see what I mean? So we've seen progress. Today, people are willing to have these conversations, right? So the only challenge now is because it's happening and you have to react, it's become more expensive to do. It's become more like what haphazard, and failure rates of such deployments are getting higher because there is no time to really think it through. And the other side, which is also a 20-year-old problem, is 97% of our teachers were not trained during their teacher training or college of education 4-year training on how to use technology to deliver learning. So even if you have the money, you invest what, maybe $30,000, you beef up the infrastructure, there's Wi-Fi, there's there are devices. Now, how does the teacher use these devices, use this technology, whatever software is it, to actually deliver the learning experience? The teacher also has to be trained, and that will take time for them to get very good at it. So the learning curve, that needs to buy time. So 1, infrastructure deficit. 2, digital skills gap for teachers. And then finally, this one, anytime I say it, I get very annoyed. I'll try not to be annoyed today. Finally, what I think is holding Ghana back is this particular decree. I don't know who was the director of Ghana Education Service at the time, but I know it was way before I was born. And I'm 38. I was 38. Before I was born, some director of Ghana Education Service decided that it was a bad idea for high school students to use smart devices in school. Maybe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, yes, it was a bad idea. But for heaven's sake, we are in 2021. We are just recovering from a pandemic that showed that things can happen online. I have not heard anything from GS concerning that decree. And that is alarming. At least we should start having that conversation now. So that if I'm a private school and I'm afraid to lose my GES license, I will not introduce smart devices into my school. That is not progressive. That's counterproductive. It's fighting against it.
So, with the interest of time, I want to move to one of our panelists if they want to weigh in on the issue raised right now. So, Jolis or Chine, do you want to say something? But Chine hasn't had a chance to talk about herself.
Go ahead.
So please do your intro, okay?
Okay. My name is Chine Ude. I'm the managing director for Smart Kids Zone in Nigeria. I want to say, Sese, I see you. I met Sese last time I was in Ghana, and he was telling me about his innovation. I was like, Sese, you are coming to Nigeria. He's a hard nut to crack. I'm here in Nigeria trying to crack the nut, and you are trying to give me more work. But let's see how we can engage. So, and I think this is another platform that brought us together to continue that discussion. So at Smart Kids Zone, what we do is innovation, entrepreneurship, and digital literacy for children between the ages of 4 to 16. So we train them on hands-on digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy, and also physical fitness. So our hub is literally designed in a way that children come in, they learn while they play. So it's not like a real school. So because we notice that children learn more when they move. So the space is really, really wide and open where kids can learn coding, IoT, web development, series of digital skills. But the important thing we had to put in is in their health and entrepreneurship, because we believe that when you have the skills and you don't have the entrepreneurial skill, you will not move forward. You can learn digital skill, you can learn IoT and just make something and keep in your cupboard. And if you don't have that skill to market, presentation, to sell, is waste of knowledge. So we are combining digital skill with entrepreneurship and financial literacy because it's key, and health is key as well for us. So that's why we have the exagaming at Smart Kids Zone and the space, the wide space for children. So, but now with the COVID-19, we are forced to move online. So Smart Kids Zone now is practically 90% online, and maybe let me say 20% offline, because parents
So
are very skeptical about
yes,
bringing
so
their
how was your
children to the
experience
hub.
being online? How's your experience moving from offline to online? And how did you manage the conversation with the parents? What is the uptake of online learning in Nigeria or in the state you are in? What is the uptake of that?
Okay, before now, everyone enjoyed coming to Smart Kids Zone, coming to a common center to have fun, because parents want to drop off their kids somewhere to run an errand. So parents also want their kids to learn, meet other people. But we've been having lots of people engaging with us for the past 5 years, because Smart Kids Zone was conceptualized in 2015. So we've been running it for years. But when the pandemic hit, we shut down, and it was a big blow for us because we are almost getting set for the Easter camp. So it wasn't possible. What happened was that, first of all, we had this shock whereby everybody was confused on what to do. During the pandemic, everybody was home. I was home, my staff were home. We couldn't think because we've been having this, okay, we'll do the digital learning, we'll go online, don't worry. But you know, when you're seeing the kids around, you forget what you're supposed to do ahead. We'll be like, don't worry, we'll create the online, don't worry. But immediately it happened, we saw that we weren't prepared, and those procrastination held us back. I was at home and the infrastructures were down, the internet were expensive. I couldn't communicate with my staff at that time to start building the next phase of what we're going to do. So for the past 2 months of that lockdown, 1 month of that lockdown, we are in-house. We are trying to strategize. But in the pandemic time, when we are trying to strategize, we noticed that the infrastructures were really poor. We didn't have regular constant power. We didn't have internet. Internet was expensive. People couldn't move. Immediately the lockdown was released, we'd already come across things we wanted to do. We hosted the online global coding festival. That was what we did. We had almost 300 children coding all over the world every week. So our turnover every week was 300 registration, more than 300 registration. Kids were coding all over the world, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, from everywhere. And the good thing about Smart Kids was that we made it cheaper for everyone. Because if you look at what is going on online and the cost of coding for a child abroad is almost $100 for what we are giving them for less than $20. So we made it cheaper, although we weren't making a lot of money or turnover, but we felt that that was an opportunity to give kids the opportunity to learn those digital skills. So we brought down the price and made sure all the children across the world were able to have those skills. But the challenges we were having at that period was still, parents were confused. It was very, very difficult for people to connect online. Parents were working. They couldn't combine the online school with their jobs. Children that has never opened a laptop before, now they need the skills. They don't even have the skills. So a lot of things went wrong during that pandemic. But do you know
Okay, so
what
I
happened?
want to hold you
Immediately the
right there.
school started. Yes, immediately the
I want
school
so that I
started,
give the
everything
opportunity
went back.
to I want to give a chance to Judith to say something regarding their program, what they did
Okay.
during the COVID. Yeah. So Judith, you're on the floor.
Okay, thank you. I would say that things were for YAW, it was, I think it was on the brighter side for YAW, because it was the first time that we actually upskilled a lot of ladies before. So that was last year. Before, I think from 2018 when we started YAW, the maximum that we could hold people for training was I think for 2019 it was less than 100 people, because what we used to do was to have it in person. Aside our career webinars, those ones were already online, but most of the times when we had to have any accelerator program, like Women in Machine Learning, the Eureka Challenge, the Our Girls Our Future, it was in person. So girls all over Africa who got the opportunity to be on the training had to travel. They had it most of the times in Ghana. They come all over from Kenya, from Nigeria, from wherever they are to Ghana. But I think that COVID provided us more space for us to recruit online. So this time around, our Girls Are Future 2020, we were doing it online for 3 months. And then we had to recruit over 500 people. It was really strategic and then very competitive. So we had a lot more people wanting to upskill themselves. People, this is what I see now, that the youth are very much intentional about their growth. They are looking for ways that they can grow, they can navigate the career world, they can achieve whatever thing that they want to do for themselves. So we capitalize on that opportunity. So for us, it was very good for us that we're able to train the highest number that we have recorded so far. And by virtue of that, we've been able to launch an online academy that provides a virtual 24/7 content regarding finance, new trends in finance, new trends in technology, career development, speaker sessions, courses. It's a blend of sisterhood, it's a blend of community, it's a blend of the technical training, and then the soft skill development, all of that. So it wasn't that bad, but I think that generally what Chineye and Cecil said, I think it touches everyone one way or the other. But then for YAW, it helped us in a brighter perspective. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your submission. I can relate to what you said about having to leverage on the digital availability of the internet. And when I started Crado with my team last year, we had to pivot and then move into doing lots of online training, getting people on board. And yes, Ghanaian youth, African youth are ready. I'll tell you, we had people from other African countries wanting to be part of the program. They are ready and digitally savvy. So yes, with the infrastructure right, with the internet access right for all of us, I think the African youth will be ready to take up more roles in 2030, just like the report from the World Bank said. I want to move on to the next question, which is about, we want to talk about solutions, to identify the problem. And so, Crystal, please, you have any solutions for us based on having worked with lots of multiple stakeholders over the years? And I know let's say so many years back at AI when you were pitching and all that. So you have come a long way. You are a pioneer in the education sector, digitally and the rest. So please tell us if you have some ideas on how we can shape the future of education and access to digital technology and learning for our children and their other children.
All right. So I think with solutions, we all know what needs to be done, more or less, right? Infrastructure must be. You see, I'm more like an advocate for access to internet as a human right. It has to be treated that way. The way shelter, health, food has been engraved in the UN documents as human rights. I think access to internet should be treated that way. Everybody should have access to internet. That's the fundamental. Then the second thing we can do, and I think for the access to internet, we can work with the telcos, because during the pandemic, most of the telcos were zero rating e-learning platforms, including eCampus, our platform. And we had reached out to the telcos 3 years before to do something similar so that people using eCampus will have a special offer. But at the time, they didn't see value in it. But when the pandemic hit, they were calling us. We didn't go back. They were actually calling us to do something with us. So there's a way we can work with telco and have a win-win to make everybody have access to quality internet. The second thing is we need to be intentional about digital content. One of the things we realized during the pandemic, even globally, there was this huge content gap. You assume that, everything's on the internet. But when the pandemic hit and we got online, we realized that, okay, look, there is nothing on geography for a junior high school student online, trust me. So then they panic. So we need to, the way our authors are writing paperback books, we need to provide the necessary tools and skills to our authors to start writing their textbooks in digital formats. Not just a bunch of PDFs that you have to scroll through. That's boring. Like make them snappy, whiteboard illustration, short 2D, 3D to explain concepts. We need to have millions of minutes of such content. So that's one of the things that dawned on us. We are heavily an assessment platform, not necessarily providing videos, and those are just bonuses on our platform. Well, what we are more focused on is to say, okay, you are weak in this topic, but you are strong in that topic. But then after 2 months into the pandemic, when we did a survey with our users, because we made it free for 2 months, so we did a survey with them. And then what we were hearing was, okay, I was happy to know I am weak in photosynthesis, but there was no video for me to learn. All right. So I said, okay, how do we then point them to our competitors or our colleagues who are also in that space? Then you reach out to them and they too don't have content on photosynthesis yet. All right. Then we go round, we come back and say, okay, so there is no content. So why don't we just connect them to some YouTube content on photosynthesis? Then you realize, the accent of the person doing the YouTube video, the examples they are giving, it doesn't sync with my brother in Jelokope. They will not even understand. So we need to produce those things. So clearly, one of the things that pushed us was, okay, how many minutes of this content do we need to cover from preschool all the way to the university level, including nursing, midwifery, TVET? When we did the research, we realized that we need about 2 million minutes.
Sorry, so I've just been alerted that we have less than 30 seconds to end the session. And you're
really?
giving us the opportunity to be part of a digital factory show so we can have more discussion regarding this topic. I actually have, I prepared over 13 questions for all of you, like 5 questions each, and we haven't even done much. So definitely we'll do it again, okay? So please, final words, like 2 words or 2 phrases each, so that we can.
All right, so 2 words. Let's invest in infrastructure and digital content production, and also let's train our teachers on how to deliver learning using digital tools. Thank you.
Anyone else? Judith or Chineye?
Okay.
2 words,
Yeah.
and then we're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think that in addition to what Cecile said, what we can also do is enhance more digital literacy. So even from the basic to the tertiary, start with the basics with simple ICT. And I love what I read recently about what Kenyans are doing, the open source curriculum. I think there should be a reform or a revolution in our education system that the theory is too much, there need to be some practicals to it. And then I think that this is something that we don't normally touch, but it's really key, is the soft skills development. I can be good at coding, I can be good at AI, I can be good at fintech. If I don't know how to navigate the career world, if I don't have the creative and creative, innovative thinking skills, the empathy, the ability to teamwork, the ability to collaborate, see, I can have all the skills and then it will be in me because I can communicate. I can tell. I can bring out all the things that I have to say. Yes.
Okay, Chineye,
So,
your turn. 2, please.
yes, I will talk about investment and partnership. The government has to invest in resources, infrastructure, like my brother said, and digital gap. in learning. All those things, without all these things we've talked about today, nothing will move in Africa. Africa has the highest resources, human resources of youth. We have 60% of youth doing nothing. You know, if we empower these people, the youths in Africa, with the skills, the innovation, they can do better. The Chinese people are not better than us. All they have is just the platform and the skill and the support. So if this government can come together and the partners in this field can come together to provide support to people who are already doing something, like Ghana Hub, like Smart Kids, like everybody, and put the infrastructures right, I don't think there will be a problem. So if all these things are put in right, we will have a shoot in the map. You have a shoot in the graphics of digital literacy in Africa. So I think infrastructure, I think digital learning gap, and I think partnership and collaboration is very, very important for us now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Chine. And thank you, Richard, for creating this platform. We'll definitely come back to finish this interesting conversation. It was nice having you all.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe we need a whole day to talk about this thing someday.
I think so, right?
I know.
We're gonna make that
All
available
right.
on Digital Factory show. So we look forward to seeing you on Digital Factory on the 13th of May, right? We are going to be addressing the topic on education, and I think that we have just the right panel to fit into the conversation. Thank you so much. We have to end it here. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Cecile. Thank you, Kafuyi. Thank you, Chineye. Blessings.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
Thank you
you
very
guys.
much.
Have a blessed
All
day.
right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so here we are. Let me remind us that we are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Don't forget to chat with us. Let us know what your comments, your thoughts are. We are moving straight to the next panel session. We are so much behind time, about 15 minutes behind time, but we really appreciate our panelists for sticking and staying with us. We love you so much. We deeply appreciate you. We love that you're committed towards growing the next generation of Africans digitally. The next panel will be addressing the role of youth in building a digitally enabled Africa. And all the conversation we've had so far has been factored into this, right? Because we've always had the conversation that youth are the next step. Youth insecurity, upskill, whatever we've said, it's all about the youth population, right? And now welcoming Foster Akugri Awintiti, who was the president of Hagla Foundation. Foster, please, would like you to turn on your video. And Sienna will also like to turn on your video. Let's have all our guests turn on their video so we can join. Welcoming also Mr. Olugbenga Ogunbowale, who is the Group CEO of ePower from Nigeria, all the way from Nigeria. And we have Sienna Williams, who was the programs manager at Microsoft. Welcome. Good to have you all here. I can still see Foster's video turned on, but it's good to see Sienna, it's good to see Gwenga. It's been a while, Gwenga. How are you doing? I can hardly hear you. Still can hear you. I don't know. Is it just me or can you guys hear me? Hi, Sienna, can you hear Gwenga?
No, I can't. Can you hear me?
Wow. I can hear you loud and clear. That's perfect.
Okay. I think he can try removing his earphones and try again.
I think those are so many awards on your background. Oh my god. Yeah, let's try and see if we can hear you. Oh, still we can't hear you. That's rather unfortunate. I'm trying to figure out what I'm saying, but I can't figure it out. Hi, Foster, are you there?
Hello.
Loud and clear. That is beautiful. We can hear you now.
Okay.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Okay.
Hi, Benga. Welcome. Good to see you, bro. You doing
Very
good?
excited to be here. Yeah.
Good to see you, Sienna.
Thank you.
And whilst we wait for the president of Akla Foundation, I mean, this guy is a busy guy, the most busiest guy right now, because why? Twitter just HQ'd in Ghana. And they partner this organization to get this done. So I'm sure Foster will be joining us quite soon because I need to see his video turn on. But let's dive right into the conversation, right? Building a digitally enabled Africa, the role of youth. And I'm very much thankful that I'm hosting useful people here, not only hosting the old folks. All right, that's how we use Sienna. What do you think we can do to build the next generation of digital Africa? What are the steps we should take, and why should we take them?
Wow, that's a very good question. Very extensive. But yeah, my thoughts on this would be that we need to start right now from every stage. I know sometimes we tend to start with either the current youth or with the kids, but I would say we need to start from every stage. So first off, we've started well by having some organizations like the boot camps that have been organized by maybe let me just mention a few names: Developers in Vogue and even Hack Lab Foundation and y'all and so many organizations. I think they are doing really well. They've started really good, but the question is, how do we make it sustainable? We need to make sure that we have the backing of the government. As we usually say, we really need the backing of the government, because I remember when I was doing the research one time, people be like, they do not listen to much of some private things unless the government uh, kind of spearheads it. So we really need the government on our side to make sure that all our strategies and ideas can be implemented. And would also need to basically invest in education and awareness, as I said, in all stages, for every part of the youth and also the kids. So I think that would be my short question. Sorry, my short answer to your long question.
Okay, I'm so sorry I had to ask a long question, but
That's
it's what
fine.
it is. These are burdening issues, right? And we are
Mm.
so glad to have we have the singular honor to have the president of Hakla Foundation in the person of Foster Awintiti Akogri. But before we go into you, Foster, let's hear what Winger has to say. Mind you, I asked the question around what can we do now to upscale youth, building the next generation of digital Africa. Winger, let's hear your reaction, please.
Okay, so first of all, I think that youths have like a very uh, key part to play, key role to play. When you look at the energy and you look at the passion of young Africans, 60% of whom are under the age of 30, by the way. I mean, this offers an enormous opportunity for Africa as a whole. And Africa has significant digital infrastructure and skills gaps. For instance, with between 5 and 50% of the population having consistent access to internet, compared to say 80% and above in Europe and North America, there's a huge gap. Now, how about the high cost of data, for instance? A gigabyte of data in Zimbabwe costs over $75. In Equatorial Guinea, 1 gig costs over $65, right? So these are issues. But what can youths do? What is the role of the youth? I think like one key thing that youth can do immediately is to acquire digital skills, essentially. Now, I know that even in the previous panels, we've all been talking about this, but we really need to African youths need to fire their excuses. As young people, we need to do what we can to add digital skills with however little it is. Because when you're loaded, you're needed, right? And since you cannot give what you don't have, the first step in playing a role in digital economy is really like acquiring a skill. Because how can you contribute to a conversation when you don't even know or understand the conversation, right? So if we must address poverty, inequality, and succeed as young people, we actually need to stop waiting for the government, our parents, or spiritual leaders, or help coming from somewhere. We need to rise up. We will do what we can with what we have. And I'm going to give you an example, right? Because somebody might be watching this and go like, Benga, you're not in touch with reality or something like that. So let me just give you an example very quickly. When I finished my secondary school education in Nigeria, I wanted to learn computers. I was fascinated by computers. I just wanted to learn computer engineering, text publishing, things like that. And so I went to meet my parents. I told them, Dad, I would like to learn. And my dad is a very frank person. He told me point blank, see, I like what you say you want to do, but your siblings are in university, and I don't have the budget for this. Right? It was very plain with me. And instead of taking no for an answer, what did I do? I walked down the street, walked into the nearest primary school, asked to see the head teacher, and then I told her, Ma, I can teach any subject. I'm available. I'm ready to teach. She was like, I've never seen anybody like you. Like, I've never come across somebody like you. There was no vacancy in the school at the time. She created the vacancy. She made me PA. There was nothing like PA in that school. She made me PA. And then, the teacher resigned about 2 months later. I got that slot, right? I taught for about 6 months, saved all of that money, went to a computer center, checked myself in, use that money to pay for my own tuition by myself. By the time I gained admission to university, in my first year, I was so skilled that I was literally training people in their final year. And so at that point in time, even money from home was meaningless. Like at the point, I just stopped asking for money from home. It was my parents that were even calling to ask me, like, don't you need our money again and all of that. Now, why am I sharing this experience? I'm sharing this experience because a lot of times young people just sit down waiting for manna to drop from heaven. The excuse that you have is because the government is not working, your parents are poor, and you're telling sad stories. I think that anybody watching this, even if you don't take any other thing from what I'm saying right now, don't forget this. You need to fire your excuses. Do what you can to make money legitimately, right? Do what you can. Whatever legit also that you can do to acquire the skills, because when you are needed, you are loaded. So I think I'll just stop there for now, right? About acquiring digital skills. Just go the extra mile.
Wow. Acquiring digital skills. Well, that's one thing we are lacking so far, so good in Africa. We want to see that upskill. And I mean, Foster, with his organization, HackLab, who is the president of HackLab Foundation, can tell us more about what they're doing, because it's so quite interesting to have that. Twitter is in Ghana, and they are leading the front, right? Foster, what can you tell us about upscaling digital Africa, right? What can we do? What should we do? Foster, you're muted. I can. Hello, Foster.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Welcome on board. Good to have you.
Can you hear me? For having me in this very important forum to share my opinion. So, to answer your question, when we talk about upscaling and skills development, I believe it's a national agenda, right? There's always a need to set an agenda all the way from the top for it to cascade down and let the key stakeholders involved in contributing to closing these gaps and ensuring that we are in the right path is key. It's not only about churning out skills; it's about churning skills relevant to the economy, right? So if you are a manufacturing economy, you don't go spending so much time investing in developing engineering skills. You need to invest heavily in developing skill sets that close the gap or the demand within the industry in which your country focuses on. So if Ghana intends to become, for example, an agriculture economy or an agri-focused economy, where agri at the center or the core of its industry, then it wants to develop skill sets within that area. Today, we are talking about digital transformation, and governments, the governments, private organizations, and every key business from SME, startups, and co are all along on this journey, including academic institutions. No industry is being left behind, and this is not only affecting Ghana but affecting the globe as a whole through the fourth industrial revolution. It puts us in a position where globalization is making us not compete amongst each other in the country anymore for jobs, but competing with other people across the continent for jobs. Uh, what this means is, as organizations start to move more digital and remote work becomes primary to how we do things, means your competition to get a job opportunity has increased now more than before. And so we need to be very, very deliberate in our approach in setting quotas and defining clearly where the country is headed and what skill sets are needed to help the country get to where it goes to. Now, on the other side, right, there's been two schools of thought when it comes to skills development and unemployment. Right, a school of thought believes that graduates that churn out of tertiary institutions or academic institutions are round square pegs that do not fit in round holes. That means there are jobs available, but the skill sets that are churning out of these schools are not fit for these jobs. There's another school of thought that says as the graduates churn out, the ratio of graduate churning out and the number of jobs available is very the proportion is very wide, right? Is unevenly wide, and this causes less than 20% of maybe every 100,000 students that graduate to be absorbed into the job market, leaving 80,000 people. There's now a new route of starting a venture through entrepreneurship, and the sprout of incubators and accelerated programs in the country is helping close this gap gradually. But are we still solving the problem? Because these people are starting businesses and would need talent to fit these, to fill job roles within these organizations. And so the more jobs, the more businesses we are creating doesn't necessarily warrant that we are preparing the talent needed to fill these jobs. And so we need to go back to the roots, which is our academic institutions, and figure out a way to increase employability, as well as be deliberate in our agenda in how we build a correlation between industry demands and what academic institutions churn out.
Thank you so much, Foster. That's a lot to take in, talking about building from the top down. Right. Sienna, let's talk about your role at Microsoft as a programs lead, right? We see a lot of youths look out to get educational degrees. Talking about upskilling digital Africa, right? And it's all about the degrees and what the universities are contributing. But I see that private institutions, Microsoft, the likes of Twitter and stuff, are organizing either hackathons or whatever in those cases to make sure that we upscale digital Africa, right? What is Microsoft doing in this vein? And what would you advise that youths in Africa should do to leverage on such opportunities?
Thank you for that question. I don't think I would like to talk for Microsoft, but I would like to give my views on it.
right.
I know that there are a number of programs that have been put out, especially after COVID, or in fact during COVID, and we have some online platforms that are providing some learning opportunities for people who want to kind of specialize in technology. So we have Google courses, we have Microsoft courses, and these are the things that they're making available to the public. But one thing I'd like to say is that the infrastructure that might be a problem, that is in terms of internet, in terms of access to even technology, that's hardware, PCs. So these things are made available, but the only issue is that are they accessible by the youth? So in terms of the youth in Africa or in Ghana, I would like to say that, to be honest, as one of the panelists mentioned, you will have to take matters into your own hands. You would have to search for these opportunities because they are available. You would need to be find yourself in the right zones, in the right communities, in the right circles. I keep telling people that join communities because that is how you get to know what is going on in the industry. So if you do that, you are able to see some of the opportunities and leverage on them. So even as the organization are also coming out, we also need to do our part. These big tech companies are giving us the opportunities to upskill, to take our skills to the next level. As Foster mentioned, we have to look at where the country is going in order to kind of fix or to kind of train ourselves in that direction. You also need to also be proactive and think ahead, look ahead. I keep using myself as an example. When I was in school, I did not know much about GIS, which is my background. And I did a bit of research and saw that it was really big in the Western world, but not as big in Africa. But I then decided to take it upon myself to do my own research more to see how best I could use it to the benefit of my country or even a little part of my life in Ghana. And it kind of paid off, and I was very happy for that. So you have to be able to think ahead, do your research, see how the trends are moving, see how the trends are going to be in the next few years, and definitely look around for the information. To be honest, that's one thing someone told me when I went to the university, is that no information is not accessible. In fact, you can find it if you look for it because it is available. So I would say that, yeah, these opportunities are available and we need to be proactive to take advantage of them.
Great. Thank you so much, Sienna. They all fall in line because I heard Benga talk about the grit and determination to pursue greatness, right? And so as much as Foster touched on the top to bottom, I think it all also has to deal with the bottom top, right? Foster, would you agree with me, right? So you run an organization, Hackler Foundation, which just concluded a hackathon, right? And this was so focused on growing the local the local people, like people within the universities or whatever, right? Just to upskill themselves and try to solve problems as it affects the entire nation or the country or the nation, the continent in general, Africa in this context, right? So, what would you say what, to youth, right? Leveraging on opportunities as they exist, because Sienna touched on a lot of them, that a couple of opportunities exist, right? And then institutions like telecom industries or telecom organizations providing access, because right now we're talking about digitalization and all the things have moved to digital, right? We have access to education platforms all the way from US and all of this. But how can we then leverage what are industries doing to tie this in, and what our private organization, what can private organization also do to make sure that they build that cohesiveness or cohesion together?
Hmm. So, yeah, you've touched on very key points. So, we are talking about partnerships in this regard. But let me start from the individual stakeholders themselves, right? Today, if we look back to the past and we look at where we sit today, I think we are very privileged. There wasn't a sophisticated platform like a Google where you could search for anything and find anything you are looking for. There weren't websites, there weren't social media platforms where you could interact and find people and connect with people across the globe. But today we have the opportunity to collaborate with people across the continent. We have the opportunity to just use a keyword and find something we are looking for. And so, for those who have access, the question is, are they even making good use of it? Right? Are they leveraging the tools they have? We are talking about a gap, but there's a missing gap of people who have access and are not leveraging it. And this is about direction, is about knowledge gap, is about exposure, is about technical expertise. So there are minority who do not have access to this infrastructure. We also need to focus on those who have the access and do not even know how to use it to the optimum, to put them to the skill level where they will be relevant. Imagine the number of mobile phone penetration in Ghana is quite significant and one of the highest on the African continent, as well as internet penetration, right? There's been a We continuously preach the gospel of a gap, but the question is, how wide is that gap? There are a lot of interventions and investments made year on year, daily. Fiber optics cables are being expanded and laid across the continent to increase internet coverage. We boast of 4G internet and 5G. There's basically minimum 2G coverage across the country today in Ghana, right? In the remotest part of the country, you can still make a phone call even if you can't access data. So we are first in 99, 2021, and we are still having the same conversation and the same arguments. We need to go back and look at what progress has been made. We need to establish consistent research year on year to validate that the investments made shifted the needle a notch uh, forward. We are making the other gaps on and how wide those gaps are and how we can close them down. That is it with regards to access
First, it looks like you're
to the
breaking up a bit.
infrastructure
I don't know if it's from our
and the
end. Sienna, is Foster breaking up at your end?
individuals who need to upskill them.
Yeah, he is.
How do industry or access? It stems from both sides. Right? Governments play in providing an enabling environment through policy, through regulatory frameworks, and all of that to support these telecommunication industries or organizations. But don't forget, they pay licenses to access the spectrum through which they broadcast these networks, right? They pay taxes. They have employees to hire. Some of these telcos now have actually MTN mobile money through these ratio of people, right? There are over 300,000 merchants across the country. Very, very significant, right? And so when there's a cost to doing business, they make profit. But for them to be able to keep their shareholders happy, as well as provide access to all, and in terms of equality and all of that, we need to also accommodate. We need to find means and ways to create incentives for them to say, okay, if the cost of data is 5 Ghana cedis per gigabyte, right? Okay, and there's going to be a direct correlation where you say, okay, if you cut down the cost of data to X amount, then there's going to be a slash in corporate tax, or certain taxes that are hit on them by doing the telco, and ask them to provide a reach that people need to be able to access these resources.
Okay, thank you, Foster. Move over to Benga for some reactions on these. Looking at it from the Nigerian ecosystem, what can we learn? Right, Benga, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Okay, so can you be more specific? You wanted my reactions.
I wonder your reaction with regards to what Foster was talking about. I mean, speaking about great determination and looking at how the industries can play a role, right, in upskilling digital Africa.
Okay, so definitely I think that the industry can play a huge role. First of all, I think we have to give kudos to the big tech companies like Microsoft, for the immense work that they're doing, organizing a lot of trainings, giving out tools to young people. Google also, is doing very fantastically well in terms of Google digital skills. A lot of free training and all of that. So, and then the same thing can be said for Facebook. In fact, Facebook has taken it a notch further, and they've been having this digital skills program for women, called Boost Your Business, for a while, and she means business. And so the big tech companies are really trying. I think that we cannot just leave this for the big tech companies alone. I think that essentially every single firm in Africa that wants to attract top tech talent needs to invest in top tech talent. The people you want to hire will not fall from heaven. So essentially, if we keep complaining as employers of labor that the quality of people that are applying for jobs, hiring is tough, graduates are not skilled enough, we can do something about it, right? We can, right? In a personal capacity, for instance, I know that I do see this, speak in a lot of programs, seminars to skill up people. But as an organization, for instance, we give interns a chance, right? To learn, to grow, because essentially, like, if you think about even every single person on this panel, right? Somebody give us a chance, right? So I think that that's the approach. We should not just leave upskilling young people to just big tech firms. Every single firm that has about 3 persons, 4 persons, 5 persons on the payroll, that you have people, you have a team, and you want to attract top talent, you need to start thinking proactively about how to groom that, how to groom them, right? It could be something as simple as internship, something as simple as training, right? Giving up scholarship in any way that you can. And I also think that we should go just beyond looking at just tertiary education, because it's really easy to get carried away and to just focus on the graduates, the people that are about to graduate. What about folks in secondary school? I think that one other area that we should also look at is career choice. A lot of times people just they have no clue what they want to do with their lives until they get to university. And by then they've already like studied one course, and then they have to like change your course. Or in Nigeria, this is the slang. I applied for a course. They gave me, right? People just study whatever, right? They're not thinking, there's no strategy, there's no plan. They're not thinking this is the gospel truth. There are some courses that when you go to school in Africa, you already know that there's no job anywhere. You just know. Even from the name of the course, I'm not going to mention any course on this call. From the name of the course, you already know there's no job waiting for you anywhere, right? So I think essentially we need to be more strategic, right? We need to take this gospel even down to high schools or secondary schools and help young people make better career decisions. Like we need to be more strategic about this, right? And it's been said earlier, so that we can have young people who go to our institution, study courses that the market demands, and graduate with skills that the market demands. I think that jobs, because we are the most youthful continent, we're the second most populous continent. Job creation is definitely a priority for Africa. So my advice and my plea to all the entrepreneurs watching this right now is, make sure you do something to improve the level of the especially the digital skills level of young people, at least in your community. Do something, right? And I also want to say, to all the young people listening to this, remote jobs are great. So the fact that maybe you're struggling to get jobs where you are, remote jobs are great. There's so many freelancing sites, right? You're not constrained to your country, to your location. You can get jobs, right? But this is it. It's a two-way street. We need skills. We need both skilled youths who are good enough to attract jobs, and we also need young entrepreneurs who can create jobs. This is my submission.
Right, thank you, Binga. I think that's why you have so many awards up there, right? And Foster, you want to say something?
Richard, if you permit
Yes,
me,
please, I can hear
he
you.
brought my attention to something, right? So there's one thing that most
Go
students
ahead.
underutilize, right? Every single university has a career office, a career counseling office, and a counseling unit to support students.
Are you gonna go here?
Come again?
Are you gonna go there?
Hello, Richard.
Can you hear me, Foster? I said, are you gonna go there? Career counseling in
Oh
universities?
no,
Did it really work?
no. I just want you to understand something, right?
Okay.
For most of the students, I talked about knowledge gap in my earlier submission about
That's
the
right, you did.
existence of infrastructure and access, and people not utilizing it, right? These institutions or these offices are created not just to sit there to say and to tick a box to say the career office exists in the school. The reason why the likes of an Ashesi University and Academic City University far has a higher employment, graduate employability is because these offices are vibrant. It's a two-way affair, right? For you to counsel somebody, it's a push and pull effect. The student has to be willing to pull, and the student has to be willing to push to get the opportunity, and the counseling unit has to be willing to pull the student into the office to give them the right guidance, right? So we need to go back and look at the processes and how we prepare students before they graduate. In your final year, you go to you are assigned to your lecturer, you go submit a topic, you write thesis or submit a paper or whatever it is, you defend it, and that is your preparation to the industry, which is very wrong, right? So we need to really look at what happens in the final year of the student, and at what phase in the 4 year undergraduate program, for example, should you start to prepare?
Oh, too bad we're losing you, Foster.
Students for the job market. When we are able to close some of these gaps, these hard.
Hello. It's too bad we're losing you, Foster. Too bad. But those are great contributions there. It's amazing one, right? I'm sure that
Behind why they
Sienna
were
will
created.
agree with this. At some point, we lost you there, Foster. I think your internet was a little bit challenging. Could you
Sorry.
recount like some of the last 30 seconds, 45 seconds of what you said? I think it will help.
Yes. So I was saying that
it's going back down. Too sad. Sienna, sorry, not to cut you short, Foster, but your internet is not really great right now, and we're really struggling to hear you. We can't hear anything you're saying currently. Sienna, what do you have to say? Career counseling. I mean, having go study GIS because you read about it. Because now, in this case, this was you career counseling yourself. right? Reading and utilizing digital tools. Like Foster mentioned, that we are in a good age where we have Google, right? What can you say to this? The career counseling offices in Africa, do they work? Right? Do we have to also reform the staffs who work there to get this
To be honest,
people? And right?
to be honest, I'm the worst person to ask this question because I never stepped foot in that office.
Oh my God.
I never did. In fact, I did not even know about it until my third year.
Wow.
I'm serious. I didn't know about the career counseling office until my third year. I think I was supposed to go there for a receipt or something, but I'm not proud of that. And I really
Institutions
hope that
within our academic.
is Foster still talking?
I can't tell. I'm just gonna have to mute him because its network is not really good here.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Yeah. So with the career counseling offices, I think it's about time they revamp. And in revamping, they should revamp with like organizations. So kind of like Hack Lab Foundation and any other skill training organization. Because to be honest, students don't really know much about career counseling, and you would have to get them when they start thinking about it. And to be honest, these things are personal decisions. For instance, I was really hard on myself. So I used to take matters into my own hands and doing my own research, trying to like think about what I wanted to do, which was really difficult because you have so many interests. Some of the things don't really look interesting to you. The course you're doing, you're not really into it. So it's like finding the right people or the right person to talk to is an issue. Some students are really like very closed up. They don't really open up. It's difficult to talk to them. So it's like, as Foster said, the students have to be willing to be counseled. The students have to be willing to actually come out and say, look, they need to understand and know, kind of look for where they can fit in terms of their careers. And the organizations, as you said, the career counseling offices, to be honest, in the public schools, it's difficult. They don't always work. They work for a specific group of students, but not everybody. In fact, people don't really know about them. So you would have to make them aware in terms of like programs that we prepare for the students. So as you were talking about, you'd have to create some programs that will help the students know about these careers that are out there. I keep talking with my co-founder with of my community that we need to make students aware of the different career choices that they have, because as I was growing up, I just knew about doctor, nurse, and I didn't even know about architecture and the rest. I just knew just the basics. So it's about time we start from the grassroots as well, but also try as much as possible to make the current youth, that's those in the high schools and the universities, to know that they really need to start thinking about their career. Try and give them a reason why they should think about it. Because for me, I wouldn't really listen to you unless you have something to show me. If you do not show me that, okay, for me, I got to see how the world was through my brother because he's older and he's 5 years older than me. So looking at his life, I got to see how tough it was when you're growing up. So that was something that pushed me to kind of think about my life and think about what I wanted to do. And it might not be the same for others, but we need something to make them see why they need to take their career seriously, because some people are really not motivated. And I keep saying that you can't push them until they're ready, as Foster said, but we really need to make them see why it is important. And I think the interest is there, but we just need to make sure that they have access and they can definitely come out and take advantage of it, because it's a difficult decision to make for some people, but you need to definitely make them see it.
Okay, Benga, Nigeria, career counseling. let's let's just touch base on this while to wrap up the conversation, because we are at the end of the entire conference, and I like that this is the session ending it, because it's what we want to see. We want to see changes within education. We want to see changes with youth. We want to see great and determination. We want to see people chasing time. I mean, Mark, who's from Mark Allen, who joined the call yesterday all the way from Haiti, the Caribbeans. He mentioned that we don't need to wait. We need to start from home. We don't need to wait for the degrees. Start learning from home, right? Your last reaction, Benga, and then we'll allow Foster to say some of the last word we missed because the internet was freaking out. Welcome back, Foster, though. Let's hear from you, Benga.
Okay, so I think my final reaction would be that as young Africans, we essentially need to take advantage of technology to help lift other young Africans and lift the entire continent out of poverty. Right? There's too much poverty in Africa. It's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. You know, before we used to say that Africa is sitting on the keg of gunpowder, but I think right now the keg has burst. Right? We're no longer sitting on the keg. The keg has scattered. Right? And that's why you have a lot of unrest across Africa. A lot of anger. Pent-up anger because it doesn't make sense to spend 4 or 5 years in the university and come out and then there's no job, right? It just doesn't make sense. So my plea to young people out there is essentially get skilled, get a skill, get something legit to do, right? And then also for the entrepreneurs out there, think about how you can grow your business. See, the fact that you're running a small business does not mean your business has to stay small. If we have more successful small businesses that become big, then we can hire more people, right? Let me give you an example, for instance. So if our group when we started, it was just one employee. Right now, we have about 13 people on our payroll, right? As we grow, we definitely can hire more people as we grow. So we need small businesses to transition into bigger businesses, right? So as young Africans running businesses, doing things, we need to start thinking scale. It's okay to start small, but it's not okay to stay small. Start thinking about how to scale your business, how to grow your business. Start thinking about, are you going to deploy a platform strategy? Are you going to deploy, a marketplace strategy? Are you going to build, a software as a service? Just find a twist and angle, to make your business grow. Because as your business is growing, of course, revenues are increasing, your impact is increasing, and more importantly, you're also serving a social mission because you're literally accelerating prosperity across the continent by reducing unemployment, by creating more change. So these are my final words. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Benga, for the privilege to host you. Respectfully. Foster, let's hear those final words you were saying. Education. Oh my God. I'm so enthused.
Yeah, so I'll just to summarize everything I was saying, I'm just trying to say that we have the solutions at our front, right? We don't need to think too far in terms of innovating and coming up with something totally new. There was a reason why the structures our institutions have were developed. And going back to understand that reason or the science behind why gives us an understanding of how it impacts the life of the student. What we haven't done much, and if you compare a school that has high graduate employability rate to a school that has a low graduate employability rate, you realize that the difference is the institution's work, right? And I also talked about a push and pull effect. Who is the beneficiary and who is the benefactor, if I put it that way? So we need to be able to figure out a system that allows for both of them to understand how their role contributes to their own success, right? If I'm a benefactor and I have a beneficiary, the beneficiary should be willing to receive whatever it is I'm giving them. And so we need to be deliberate, create programs, create initiatives that make these offices, like I talked about the career office, as vibrant as possible. Ashesi University is what it is and has a high graduate employability rate because their career office is very effective, right? If you go, we understand that the population of most of the public institutions and the ratio of officers in the career office to the number of students is preposterous, right? And so we can't compare in terms of access quality to this the same way, but we can figure
That's
out
right.
a way. We can figure out a way. For example, in KNUST, as the school started to grow bigger, they started to decentralize power into a collegiate system, right? Where they decentralize power and allow the colleges to run in a semi-autonomous structure. That means not all decisions have to be taken at the top. So if the school had a shared service system, for example, a career office, they could decentralize these shared services into the various colleges and allow them to run micro programs that are directly related to the courses or the programs being run in those colleges. So the career office of an engineering college or a college of engineering will be different from would run different programs and will build different relationships in terms of industry partnerships, ecosystem partnerships to increase the value they give the students when they come to the career office, right? So let's not ignore the fact that these institutions or offices have been created and exist, and people are being paid salaries to sit there. We need to find means and ways to bring them back to life and help make them vibrant. We created the Hackler Foundation out of KNUST when we were still students, and we had identified a gap and we wanted to solve that problem. And so we took the initiative and the onus on us to do it. And 5 years on, over 10,000 people are benefiting from this, right? We work closely with academic institutions. We still create extracurricular programs on the various campuses because it is one thing to want to fight a legacy. It's another thing to want to acknowledge the existence of the legacy and its role and how you can contribute to adding on to that legacy for longevity's sake. So let's not ignore, as the saying goes in Chi, Sankofe in Chi, going back to the past to pick from the past and refresh it to a new setting with context around it. It's not forbidden. So we can always do that and we'll save a lot of resources doing that. Thank you very much.
Can you guys hear me? I think my audio was mercy. All right, thank you very much, Foster. Good to have you, and that's all time will allow. We're very much privileged to have ended with this. There are a lot of insights from this particular panel, and we want to see that youths would actually take up the arms to make a difference, enabling or building the next generation of digital innovations in Africa. Thank you, Fosa, for your work with education. I saw you, but you mentioned Aseshi a lot. I was about to ask you why aren't you mentioning some of the public institutions, but you gave a good reason why you are not mentioning them. So we appreciate you.
No, I'm an alumnus of KNUST, right?
I saw what you did there.
And we churn out very good graduates as well. I don't deny that. But yeah, we can't deny the fact that Ashesi has managed to leave a mark on the country in terms of education. So they said the case. Let's follow through.
Mm-hmm. You are a great example of a good graduate from KNUST, right? It's good to 100%. See a fellow alumnus. Yeah, 100%. Beautiful. Thank you, Benga. Thank you, Sienna. That's all time will allow. I really appreciate. It's a privilege to have hosted you. Thank you so much. Shout out to the team at Digital Times Africa. This is all time will allow. We have to drop the session and end it here. This again is the maiden edition of the Africa Digital Future Conference. And next year, we'll be coming to you live once again with this, and we wouldn't end now. We are still going to look into the impact, the levels, whatever is happening across Africa, we want to improve on this, right? At this point, we know that a couple of people joined us live online. We are very much privileged to have hosted you. Thank you very much. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. A reminder, feel free to share those comments, share those photos, let them come in. Let's know what you thought about this, right? And for all our participants who joined, we'll be sharing you a survey. Would like to hear from you. How was this? What went on? Was this insightful? Did you gain any valuable insight from this, right? We'll be looking out for that. We also have more events like this. As a matter of fact, one of our partner events is happening right now. It's called the Startup Hunt. Startup Accra, the CEO and the co-founder Norbert was on our call yesterday. He spoke about what stays, what leaves, the future of digitalization, right? They're having a call, they're looking for the next unicorn in Ghana. It's a good thing to have them join. Follow Startup Accra on YouTube, Facebook. I think that the session is being streamed live, and you can join that on Zoom as well. This all time will allow. Kindly sign up for our weekly newsletters. Follow us on all our social media channels, our platforms. If you love the conversation from this particular event, join us on social media. Join us on YouTube. Subscribe. Click on the follow or the like button on Instagram, whatever social media platform you're on. We are there. We are live and represented. Let's introduce to you the Digital Factory Show, where we leverage on conversation to drive the next level of impact on Digital Africa. So you can join us on the Digital Factory Show. We'll be hosting the next one on the 13th of May. Feel free to be on that because we will be learning a lot about the future of Digital Africa on that. That's all time will allow. Once again, my name is Richard Joseph, and I'm a privileged host. At this point, we're going to draw the curtains on the event. Thank you so much for all, every participant who joined us on Zoom. The private networking was fascinating. We really appreciate you. The next edition of Digital Factory will be on 13th of May. Do well. We'll be sending out newsletters to this regard. If you want to subscribe, I'm sure you can check out our website, www.digitaltimesafrica, the featured event session. I'm sure you're going to find that there. This all time will allow, like I said earlier, have a blessed evening and good night all the way from here, Ghana.